Chapter 80. Old Ma was trying so hard to hold back his laughter that he almost fainted. Seeing Deng Xiaojiang's ugly face, he quickly came over and said, "Xiaohu, stop making wild guesses. It's really okay. I have other arrangements for the armor. You can thank President Hao of Iris Flowers for me. The armor really isn't needed. You should get busy with other things. Don't let your imagination run wild. You've been with me and Director Deng for many years. Show some more confidence." As Old Ma spoke, he subconsciously glanced at Xiaohu's phone. He was puzzled. Why does the armor in the photo look so familiar? It's so similar to the one we used to wear. After Xiaohu walked away with a confused look on his face, Old Ma finally couldn't hold back his laughter. Big Beard Deng kicked his butt and said, "Get out of here too." Old Ma laughed and walked away. He went back to find Xiaohu and asked him to forward the photo that Iris Flowers sent to him. He looked at it a few more times. The more he looked at it, the more it looked like the one that the crew used. Amazing! He thought that Iris Flowers had tried to work with him and Director Deng many times before, but it didn't work out. Although he didn't help much this time, he was still very enthusiastic. Their costumes and props are pretty good. This set of armor is on par with the one I made myself. It's just as exquisite as the one I made. It's just as exquisite. I can contact them later and strengthen our cooperation. Old Ma didn't expect that he was the one who gave the armor in the photo to Qin Guang. That Iris's Flower Company's chairman Hao only forwarded Qin Guang's photo to Little Hu of the props team. "Director Ma, what are you laughing at? You look so happy." As soon as he turned around, Jiang Yage, who had just finished her makeup, came over. She couldn't help but ask when she saw Old Ma standing under the tree with a silly smile on his face. Jin Shirue followed behind Jiang Yage and reminded her loudly, "Song Yage, don't jump too much. The ornament on your head is going to fall off." Old Ma was happy. He was worried that Big Beard Deng would make a fool of himself, but he had no one to share it with. The other people in the production crew might not dare to listen to Big Beard Deng's embarrassing gossip, but the two of them did not care at all. Old Ma vividly talked about Big Beard Deng's embarrassing stories with Jin Shirue and Jiang Yage. He even showed the two stars the photo of the armor. When Jiang Yage heard that the young man from last time was really going to come to the crew, her heart was already in turmoil. Although Jin Shirue's expression didn't change, her heart was also in turmoil. On the other side, Chen Guang whistled and got into the car, ready to leave the school. "What? You mean the school sports meeting? Sorry, there is no freestyle in my dictionary. Only 100,000 yuan. Oh, I seem to have promised Bai Nyangzi and the other two to take them to see the world. Save it. The director is giving you a chance to promote you, but you still don't know what's good for you and take some irrelevant people to see the fun. Aren't you making trouble for him? As a person, you have to know what's good for you and know your place. The director is grateful, but you can't beat him with a stick. You can't make things difficult for him." Chen Guang felt that he could enter the movie of the famous director, Deng Xiaojiang, and even get a full 30 seconds of scene. That was an opportunity that countless handsome men and beautiful women in the Northern Film Academy could only dream of, even if they took the initiative to go to the front door to be slept with. "I just went into the water, and I was able to get such recognition and promotion from Deng Xiaojiang. It was really a blessing of 3 lifetimes. If I didn't cherish this opportunity, I would be letting down the god of fate. Although people say that my acting skills are terrible, maybe it's because I haven't met a talent scout who can stimulate my potential." Big Beard Deng has a movie every year, especially the 2 movies that were released last year and this year. Both went straight to the box office of 1 billion yuan. His ability to turn stone into gold is definitely top-notch. Chen Guang had reason to believe that under Deng Xiaojiang's guidance, this natural superstar of his would definitely awaken on the spot, and his acting skills would soar to the sky. After that, it would be the crucial 30 seconds of scene. Chen Guang winked at the rearview mirror and thought, "I'm so handsome, if I get a close-up of my handsome face in the movie for 30 seconds, I'm afraid it will have a devastating impact on the reproduction of the human race. There will be millions of women who, after watching the movie, have high requirements for the appearance of the opposite sex around them. This will lead to an increase in the single rate. The birth rate will continue to drop. The great Wuxia will continue to age. The reproduction of the entire human race will suffer a devastating blow. I will become a sinner in history and be engraved on a monument of shame. Oh no, I was too immersed in my own thoughts, and my saliva dripped down and wet my collar. Magical power. Close. Chen Guang shook his head fiercely, and his silly disease disappeared. However, when he remembered that he really had 30 seconds of scene, he couldn't help but secretly laugh. He even looked forward to it in his heart. Maybe he really had the halo of a main character like the main characters in those novels. Originally, he was just going to be a bystander, and then in these 30 seconds, he showed a perfect performance that could make the hearts of countless audiences tremble. Then, he had a meteoric rise. In the next movie, he played the second male lead and won the Best Supporting Actor award at this year's Golden Horse Awards. Next year, I will become the male lead of Big Beard Deng's movie. I will become the youngest Golden Horse Best Actor without professional training in history. I will truly reach the peak of my life. That's right, life is often full of countless coincidences. I must seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to rewrite the life of the best actor Chen Guang. Something is wrong. My condition is getting worse. Should I find a psychiatrist to talk about it later? I think I can still be saved. Let's go. By the way, I should give that poor company a call. Maybe their people have already set off. I feel a little guilty for standing them up and not giving them a call. Chen Guang took out his phone and was about to call Hao Yukai when his phone rang first. Hello, is this Mr. Chin? I am Hao Yukai from Iris Flowers. It's like this. I'm sorry, but we don't need that armor for the time being. I'm very sorry, I'm really sorry. I just sent you a 200 yuan red packet on WeChat. I apologize again. Before Chen Guang had time to speak, Hao Yukai spoke first. This gentleman was really good at doing business. When it came to handling things, even if it was obvious that he went back on his word, it was still hard to be angry. However, Chen Guang had no reason to care about him at all, because Chen Guang himself was also a pigeon king. In order not to be stood up by me, you stood me up first? First as respect? Looking down at his Tong Tian holy teacup, Chen Guang couldn't help but have a terrible thought in his mind. Could it be that I have unknowingly mastered a terrible special ability? Whatever I want to do, I can control the other party to follow my thoughts one step ahead of me. Is this the legendary master of fate? It's terrible. This is a terrible special ability that can only be mastered by the protagonist of a novel who can live an entire book. Hao Yukai, you are too polite. It's okay. Thank you for your red packet. Let's cooperate again in the future. After hanging up the phone, Chen Guang sighed in his heart. Why is the upper limit of a single WeChat red packet 200 yuan instead of 1,000? Chapter 81. With great anticipation, Chen Guang drove the car to the Wujing Film City that Big Beard Deng had informed him about. The Wujing Film City was a newly built film and television base in the past 2 years. Its main focus was on the filming of historical dramas and movies, which occupied a large area. How large was it? Chen Guang lost his way in the car and nearly ran into the cameras of other film crews before he was escorted by the kind security guards of the film city to the outside of Big Beard Deng's crew. Kid, don't run around. Wait here obediently. I'll go greet Director Deng's crew and ask if you're the real deal. If you didn't say that Director Deng called you over, I would have chased you out. Director Deng's crew isn't like others. If you accidentally ruin their business and offend them, let me tell you, no one in China will be able to pull you back into the entertainment industry. This little security guard was on duty in the film and television city all day long. He had seen a lot of celebrities and big shots. His vision was very high, and he felt that he had a very high status in the outside world. When he spoke, he was just short of being arrogant. Chen Guang rolled his eyes and could not be bothered to argue with him. He thought to himself, what do you know? I'm the genius newcomer personally invited by Director Deng that you mentioned. I'm about to appear on the screen and become a rising star in the film industry. How can a loser security guard like you understand the ambition of the old man? The security guard went over. Chen Guang poked his head out of the car window and looked around happily, looking curious. As expected of the Wujing Film City. Just the area near the parking lot in Zone B, the houses that could be seen were all ancient and grand. Sitting in the car, it was as if he had returned to ancient times. Not long after, the security guard came back. He had a strange expression on his face, as if he had suffered a great shock. There were 4 to 5 people following behind him. Chen Guang looked in the direction of the security guard and saw the people behind him. He immediately understood why the young man looked like he had just eaten tea. Following behind him were 2 golden flowers in each of his hands. Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage. There were also their agents and assistants. Chen Guang was also shocked. He had thought that Big Beard Deng would be very busy. At most, he would ask someone to pick him up. It was impossible for him to come personally. But he didn't expect that these 2 famous celebrities would personally come. This old man's face is several times more glorious. This old man's life is worth it. Chen Guang opened the door and got out of the car. He took out the shiny golden armor from the trunk and carried it on his back. Then he happily ran up to it. As he walked past the young security guard, Chen Guang raised his eyebrows at him. He was just short of riding on his face and shouting, "See? Am I the real deal?" Real gold and silver were so real. The mentally injured young security guard left in a daze. He needed to find a quiet place to mend his broken heart. Chen Guang stood in front of Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage. Then he was so nervous that he didn't know where to put his hands. That's right, when he saved these 2 people that day, he was quite heroic. He touched and kissed places that he shouldn't touch, and looked at places that he shouldn't look at. But at that time, he was in a hurry and his life was at stake. He didn't think so much at all. Later, he lost control of his prehistoric power. He was anxious to protect his face and left without saying anything to these 2 people. Even now, when he saw the 2 of them again, especially the 2 youthful beauties, donned in ancient clothes and wore light makeup, standing before him with a smile on their faces, he couldn't help but feel that his heart was beating a little too fast. Especially when he was driving over, the 2 of them were even playing their new songs on the car's stereo. Chen Guang felt that his heart was beating a little too fast. Well, he didn't pay for the original song. It was a pirated version on a pirate forum. Feeling guilty, he couldn't lift his head up high. Others worked hard to make a song, put in a lot of effort, and put in a lot of effort. It only cost him a few cents to download a song. When he was drinking beer, his hand accidentally shook and spilled it. He didn't listen to the convenient and fast original version, but he still went to look for pirated versions. His conscience was uneasy. The 2 women didn't know Chen Guang's complicated feelings, but they came up together. They had just finished shooting a scene not long ago and were still in costume at this time. Jin Shirui was wearing a simple but elegant green gauze dress, and Jiang Yage was wearing a white chivalrous woman outfit. When they got closer, Jin Shirui spoke first. "Hello, Mr. Chen Guang. I'm Jin Shirui, this is Jiang Yage, and this is our agent, Sister Zhou. Mr. Chen, thank you for saving my life last time. I wanted to thank you, but I didn't expect you to leave in a hurry and miss the opportunity. Director Deng is busy shooting, and Solomon and I are resting at the moment. We have nothing to do, so we simply came to pick you up. After the shooting in the afternoon, please don't leave in such a hurry again. We want to invite Mr. Chen to have tea and chat with us to express our gratitude. Please don't delay it." Jin Shirui's words were appropriate and respectful to Chen Guang, giving face to her savior. But in fact, her heart was not as calm as it seemed on the surface. How many lives do people have in this life? Her life was really hanging by a thread that day. If it weren't for this person who tried his best to save her, she was afraid that her ashes would have been in the ground now. Later, she heard from others about Brother Chen Guang's behavior when he was rescuing her. During this period of time, she couldn't stop thinking about it. Jin Shirui, who had never been intimate with any man, saw this person again. He was the same age as her. Although he was not handsome enough to shock the country, he was indeed a sunny boy. It would be strange if her heart was as calm as still water. It was just that she was steady and her acting skills were superb. Under deliberate concealment, She acted dignified and generous without the slightest trace. Chen Guang was shocked by Jin Shiyue's words. Although I, the old man, have been in the society for many years, to put it bluntly, the society of the old man was nothing more than junior high school, and college. At most, I would add my hometown. All of a sudden, Jin Shiyue, such a big shot, said such official words in front of him. The old man really couldn't bear it. Waving his hand quickly, Chen Guang grinned and said, "Oh, Miss Jin, please don't call me Mr. Chen. I really can't bear it. Just call me Chen Guang. As for saving the two of you, it's not a big deal. Not to mention the two of you, even if it were two other ordinary people, as long as I meet them, I would also save them. So, don't take it to heart. As a person who can swim, it's my duty to save people in that kind of situation. It's nothing." Chapter 82. Jiang Yage, who was on the side, was much more direct. Her small eyes kept sizing up Chen Guang from head to toe, especially the position of his crotch. At this moment, this little girl was thinking about the scene when Chen Guang was rescued by the site supervisor, Old Ma, and the scene of his broken thing swaying. She even subconsciously licked her tongue. "I say, Chen Guang, since you have said so, then you don't need to be polite with us sisters." They were all of the same age, so it was too awkward for them to call each other Mr. Chen and Ms. Jin. It was too distant. "How about this? We won't call you Mr. Chen, we'll call you Chen Guang, and you can call her Shiyue. As for me, I'll call you dear Xianxia." As Jiang Yage spoke, she leaned over and put her hand on Chen Guang's shoulder, a standard posture of familiarity. Chen Guang turned his head and almost gave Jiang Yage a fright. She was licking her tongue. "This heroine, your eyes are a bit improper. In my impression, we are not so familiar with each other, right? We are decent people, so you should be more decent. If I didn't hear wrong, did you just say, dear Xianxia?" Jiang Yage's overly familiar behavior really shocked Chen Guang. Some people want to ask, isn't it a little too weak to be intimate with a celebrity, and you are not only unhappy but also shocked? But Chen Guang has to defend himself. In his long life of 20 years, this was the first time he was so close to a dignified celebrity, and the other party was even a popular existence. He really didn't know how to get along with big stars. "Did I make a mistake when I got off the car?" Jin Shiyue was fine, her performance was completely within his expectations, but what was going on with Jiang Yage? Why was her performance so different from the big stars that the old man had always known? Master Chen Guang was at a loss. Although Big Beard Deng was a bigger star, he was still a director who worked behind the scenes all year round. He wasn't as familiar as these stars who often appeared on TV. In addition, when he saw Big Beard Deng, he only had a pair of briefs on him. In desperation, he tried to trick Big Beard Deng into taking off his pants. Later, when he met Big Beard Deng at the tea house, Chen Guang seemed so relaxed and casual. When he heard that the performance was worth 100,000 yuan in 30 seconds, he didn't even think about it and called Deng Xiaojing uncle. But Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage didn't play by the rules at all, which caught him off guard. Chen Guang was stunned and didn't know what expression to use to face Jiang Yage, this weirdo. Sister Zhou finally couldn't stand it anymore. She came forward and calmly pushed Jiang Yage away. She grabbed Chen Guang's hand and said, "Hello, Mr. Chen. I'm Zhou Yun, the manager of left and right hands. Don't lower yourself to Solomon's level. She's just like that, she likes to joke. Ha, we just met each other. How can there be such a thing as dear Solomon?" As Zhou Yun spoke, she squeezed Jiang Yage to the side. She finally understood that this young master of hers had really fallen in love with her savior. How could she let this happen? Zhou Yun's attitude made Chen Guang calm down. He smiled and said, "Hello, Sister Zhou. Nice to meet you." "That's right, this is the normal way to open." Jiang Yage was unhappy and came forward again. "Sister Zhou, you're wrong to say that. I'm very serious." Jin Shiyue grabbed Jiang Yage from the side and said, "Don't mess around. You're making Chen Guang nervous. Let's go back. We'll be in the next scene. We need to go over our lines." Jiang Yage finally stopped messing around. Chen Guang carried the armor on his back and walked with everyone to the filming location. On the way, Zhou Yun took the initiative to chat with Chen Guang. She really didn't want Jiang Yage and Jin Shirue to have too much contact with Chen Guang. The two of them walked the path of purity. If they got too close to a young man outside the circle, she felt that it would cause unnecessary trouble. Zhou Yun's actions were understandable, but to put it bluntly, she was just someone who worked for Jiang Yage and Jin Shirue. The two of them didn't want to be manipulated by her, especially Jiang Yage. She was like a sparrow that couldn't shut its mouth the whole time, chattering nonstop. Although Jin Shirue didn't talk much, she would turn her head to size up Chen Guang from time to time, making him feel uncomfortable. Chen Guang was also very busy. He would turn his head to the left to chat with Zhou Yun, and then to the right to deal with Jiang Yage's questions. The situation finally went out of control after Jiang Yage said something. She said, "Oh right, when brother Chen Guang saved me and Shirue, I was still slightly conscious, but sister Shirue was completely lifeless. You performed CPR on us at that time, right? I vaguely remember that your hand reached behind my back and unbuttoned my bra. Then, you used your hand to push up our stomachs to force the water out of them. What were you thinking when you took advantage of us at that time?" The feeling. At the same time, Chen Guang thought that the beloved Solomon was the limit of this heroine. Only now did he realize that he was ridiculously wrong. For many years, the image of the two pure girls in his left and right hands was deeply ingrained in his mind, and it instantly disappeared. "Sister, where's your integrity? This kind of thing happened, it happened." The old man did draw a world map in the bedding after the incident, but everyone had a tacit understanding. "Don't reveal it in front of me like this. How am I going to face the future of my life like this? How am I going to have a pleasant conversation with you guys?" "Solomon, what nonsense are you talking about?" At that time, lives were at stake. In order to save you, Mr. Chin did his best. How could he have those messy thoughts, you said? How could he have the feeling? If he had been a little bit slower, both of you would have lost your lives. Sister Zhou was still the best. At the critical moment, she stood up and saved Chen Guang's glorious image of a savior that was about to collapse. Chen Guang nodded again and again. "That's right. At that time, my mind was also blank. I couldn't remember anything. I just wanted to save everyone. Let me tell you, I swam from the other side of the lake. It was a long distance and time was tight. After diving, weren't there 4 people before the 2 of you? When I rescued the 2 of you on the boat, I almost passed out from exhaustion. How could I remember what I did at that time? I forgot it all." Then, he added another word in his heart. "That would be weird." Sister Zhou was really a wonderful person. As she said that, she opened the LV bag she was carrying and rummaged inside. She took out a checkbook and said, "Mr. Chen, I really don't know how to thank you for saving our lives. On behalf of Shirue and Solomon, I have a small token of my gratitude. It's not enough to show my respect, but please accept it and don't refuse it." As Sister Zhou spoke, she swiftly wrote down a few numbers on the check. Chapter 83. She actually has her own motive for doing this. She doesn't want Jin Shirue and Jiang Yage to remember Chen Guang's kindness in their hearts. She directly gives enough money to make the 2 girls feel that they don't owe him anything. Chen Guang naturally won't be able to rely on this kindness to entangle with the 2 girls, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Chen Guang glanced at it. "My goodness, if I'm not wrong, this is 100,000? The old man's life is in danger of 100,000 today. Big Beard Deng hasn't even gotten his 100,000 yet, and there's already a harvest here. Today is a good day to go out, a good day to get rich, a good day to get 100,000. That's right, what tea and chat, what dear melody, it's all for nothing, it's still the bright red money that's more practical. Come to think of it, this is the first time I've seen something as grand as a check. You can just write something on it and you can get money? No, I have to go back and check how the check is cashed. Of course, I definitely can't ask now, I can't let others see through the truth of the old man's ignorance. How can I accept this?" Chen Guang pretended to decline while slowly stretching out his hand. Zhou Yun hasn't finished writing when Qin Guang's finger is already on the side of the check. Unexpectedly, halfway through, Jiang Yage suddenly appeared and snatched the check from Zhou Yun's hand. Sister Zhou, what are you doing? Chen Guang saved my and Sister Shiyue's lives. 100,000 yuan is enough to send him off? My and Sister Shiyue's lives are only worth 100,000 yuan? Are you humiliating Brother Chen Guang, or are you humiliating me and Sister Shiyue? How can you use the stink of money to tarnish Brother Chen Guang's life-saving grace? Jiang Yage is a little angry. She is a clever person. How can Zhou Yun's cunning thoughts be hidden from her? She would not easily get angry with Zhou Yun over other matters. But I have feelings for Chen Guang, and you still dare to interfere. Do you really think that I, Jiang Yage, am someone you can manipulate? Jean Shiyue, who was standing on the side, knew her sister like the back of her hand. Knowing that she was angry, she hurriedly smoothed things over. Yage, don't be like this. Sister Zhou didn't mean that. Don't make trouble. She might not listen to others, but since Jean Shiyue said so, Jiang Yage first looked straight at Zhou Yun, then put the checkbook back in Zhou Yun's hands and said, Sister Zhou, I'm sorry, I was a little too excited. Zhou Yun nodded repeatedly and smiled apologetically. No, I was thoughtless. It was said that being in the king's company was like being in the company of a tiger. Zhou Yun had been the manager of his left and right hands for many years, so of course she knew the true background of the two women. It was just that the two girls had never been calculative with her, causing her to almost forget their identities. That was why she had interfered so casually today. Now, she suddenly realized that the two of them could not be treated as ordinary celebrities. The three of them are competing with each other, leaving only Qin Guang, whose fingers are still in the air, in the wind. I don't feel humiliated. 10 yuan is humiliating, but this is a whole 100,000 yuan. It's enough for my mother's medical expenses for 5 months. My family still owes millions of yuan. Don't think of me so noble, 100,000 yuan, I think it's very real. What nonsense are you talking about? How can money smell like copper? It's fragrant. It's fragrant. Why don't you just sully me? Looking at Zhou Yun reluctantly putting the checkbook back into her bag, Qin Guang felt like 10,000 beasts were galloping in his heart, but he had to squeeze a careless smile on his face. That's right. How can I ask for your reward for being brave? Sister Zhou, you're too polite. How can I do that? I can't afford to lose face, haha. Then, Qin Guang didn't want to speak anymore. He felt that this must be retribution. It was because he listened to the pirated songs of his right-hand man that he was now being punished by the god of fate. The cooked duck actually flew away in front of his eyes. Yet, he was suffering because of his pride. He really couldn't bring himself to ask for it. The old man is wise his whole life, but in the end he still lost to his pride. It turns out that my skin isn't as thick as I thought. I say, Jiang Yage, you don't understand the ways of the world at all. We can't be friends with people like you. Chen Guang also blamed Jiang Yage wrongly. She stopped Zhou Yun not because she didn't want to pay a single cent, but because she had other plans. She didn't want the fate between her and Qin Guang to end so easily. At the moment when she was saved by him, Jiang Yage's thought of devoting herself to him was not a joke. It was rare for her to be sincerely moved, and she found that he was indeed a person of the same age as her. He didn't look annoying and he was quite handsome and happy. Of course, she wanted to get to know Qin Guang more. At the same time, she wanted him to know her better. Even if she really wanted to give him this 100,000 yuan as a reward, she couldn't give it to him as she did now. Anyway, the cooked duck flew away. Chen Guang was very hurt, and he didn't have much interest in talking. On the other side, Zhou Yun was shocked by Jiang Yage. She suddenly remembered that she was just a manager who did odd jobs for others, so she didn't do anything extra. Fortunately, this place wasn't far from the filming location. The awkward scene didn't even last for 10 seconds. After turning the corner, they saw the busy crew in front of them. Seeing that they were back, someone immediately came to look for Jean Shiyue and Jiang Yage. You two are finally back. Director Deng said that in this group of shots, Yage, You should have the feeling that you have just fought with someone, and there must be blood on your clothes and face. The people of the #1 makeup group are looking for you everywhere. The staff member walked over in a hurry and urged Jiang Yage to go with him quickly. On the other side, Jin Shiyue was also caught by someone. The male lead came to look for her. Chen Guang didn't stay idle. A young man ran over and pulled Chen Guang, saying, "Hello, you are Chen Guang, right? Director Deng specifically asked me to guide you in your scenes. Come with me first. Put on your makeup first. I'll talk to you about the play while you do it." It was related to whether he could make a meteoric rise and embark on the road of Best Actor. Chen Guang immediately went into work mode and followed the young man to the makeup room. He thought that Big Beard Deng was really professional. He was just a 30-second piece of trash with no lines, and he even sent someone to talk to him about the play. Just because of Big Beard Deng's care, he had to bring out his best state no matter what. He couldn't ruin his reputation. He and Jiang Yage didn't go in the same direction. The makeup requirements of the leading actors were completely different from that of the extras. When passing by the shooting location, Chen Guang heard Big Beard Deng shouting at the top of his voice. The way his saliva was flying and he was pointing to the east and the west looked really interesting. Chen Guang instantly understood why Big Beard Deng didn't have time to pick him up. He felt that Deng Xiaojiang on the set was like a perpetual motion machine. As long as he stood there, no matter whether he was using his brain or pointing his fingers, he couldn't stop at all. Chapter 84. Click, click, click. Shoya, I've told you many times. Did you not have breakfast or something? You have to be quick when you mount the horse. Do you look like you're running away in a panic with that sluggish look of yours? Yes, I know you don't know how to ride a horse, but I'm not asking you to ride me. You don't have to ask a stunt double to mount the horse, do you? This is a close-up of his face. You better show me some form. Isn't Shoya a little too short for you? Or else you can find me a shorter horse. Hurry up. Hey, what are you doing? If the horse is shorter, won't the camera on the slide be shorter too? Are you stupid? How much shorter? Can't you use a ruler to measure it yourself? Why do you have to ask me for everything? Old Ma, are you looking for trouble? Open your eyes wide for me to see. It was written in black and white in the script. Counselor Zhuge opens the tent, rushes out, flips onto the white horse, fiercely lashes the horsewhip, and rushes into the depths of the forest. You brought me a stray horse? Are you King kidding me? Chen Guang knew the actor Zhou Ye, who was being scolded. He was a big shot, but after being scolded by Deng Xiaojiang, he only nodded vigorously without saying anything on his face. Under Deng Xiaojiang's command, the rest of the crew ran around the set, busily preparing. The site supervisor, Old Ma, was the most miserable. He was like a spinning top under Deng Xiaojiang's command, his head spinning nonstop. After being scolded badly by Deng Xiaojiang, he turned around and scolded Xiao Hu from the prop team. It was so noisy on the set that it was like a food market. If he hadn't known that this was a movie and that Deng Xiaojiang was just standing there, Chen Guang would have thought that he had gone to the wrong place. However, after the bustling and noisy preparation work was completed, following Deng Xiaojiang's order, the previously noisy set suddenly quieted down. Not a single sound could be heard as everyone went about their duties. When Chen Guang saw this scene from afar, he subconsciously began to walk on his tiptoes, not daring to make the slightest sound, for fear of disturbing the filming. He was even more surprised to find that the crew members, who had been running around like headless flies, had somehow found their places. The seemingly messy set instantly turned into a sophisticated machine, revealing its order in the chaos, like an exquisite work of art. As expected of a famous director, Chen Guang exclaimed inwardly. Previously, when he saw Deng Xiaojiang, he thought that he was quite amusing. Now that he was on the set, he was so awe-inspiring and imposing. Yet he couldn't help but be impressed. His eyes were really different. He could single-handedly command over 100 people on the set, and his eyes could see places that others couldn't. Although his words were unpleasant to hear, like a machine gun firing at people everywhere, they were always unable to refute. With a wave of his hand, everyone instantly found their backbone. Amazing! Really amazing. Chen Guang felt that the pressure on his shoulders was even greater. Deng Xiaojiang was such a strict and serious person, but he took care of him like this and gave him a great opportunity. Previously, he didn't think that this was too great. He also understood that Deng Xiaojiang was looking for a suitable reason to formally repay the life-saving grace in Painting Lake that day. But at this moment, Chen Guang knew how precious and rare this opportunity was. Silently following the assistant to the group makeup room, Chen Guang sat down and let the makeup artist fiddle with his face. The assistant next to him took the initiative to say, "Brother Chen Guang, time is tight, let's make a long story short. You don't have any acting experience before, right?" Chen Guang answered honestly, "Yes, in the past 2 weeks, I've crammed a lot of books on actors. I've probably read Actors' Self-Cultivation, Film and Television Performance Basics, these books. I hope they'll be of some use." Chen Guang's words slightly surprised the assistant. He didn't expect this super loyal brother to be so concerned about this matter. He had done so much research before coming. In fact, the assistant was just a little inconspicuous assistant in the crew. He had just graduated from the directing major of Chinese drama school less than a year ago, and had been working with Deng Xiaojiang's team to accumulate experience. Earlier that day, Deng Xiaojiang had specifically looked for him, which had flattered him. After Deng Xiaojiang had finished explaining the situation, he felt strange, but his fighting spirit was also high. Everyone knew that Deng Xiaojiang had a very strict attitude when it came to making films. Ever since he had become famous, there had been very few cases of people entering through the back door. To be able to get into his film, one had to be able to get his approval, and the other had to be the actor's image that he wanted. Even for some seemingly unimportant extras, Deng Xiaojiang had always used experienced actors who had been in the film and television industry for a long time. For example, Chen Guang, a non-performing student with no acting experience, had been directly pulled into the crew by Deng Xiaojiang and given the role of deputy general in fresh clothes and armor. He had been on stage for 30 seconds, and even his face could be seen clearly on camera. This was really a first in the history of the world. This was a challenge, but it was also an opportunity. If he could turn this young man, who had zero experience on stage, into a qualified minor character in such a short time, Director Deng would definitely be pleased. In the future, Deng Xiaojiang's team would definitely value him more. But at first, he was still a little apprehensive. When it came to acting, people who didn't understand it would think it was easy and simple. But as an expert, the assistant knew that a qualified actor's skills on stage couldn't be fake. Deng Xiaojiang had strict requirements for movies, and he would be able to see through the slightest mistake with a single glance. These 30 seconds were going to be a tough battle. But luckily, it was only 30 seconds. "Bro, you actually made up for it yourself. Thank God, this has a lot of potential. Even if your acting skills are like a blank piece of paper, bro, I'll give you an emergency training. It shouldn't be that you can't even last 30 seconds. Then let's start now." The assistant shouted in high spirits, startling the makeup artist who was applying a wig to Chen Guang. Chen Guang nodded solemnly. "Okay." About 2 hours later, the assistant, who had been proud of his future and full of enthusiasm for life, began to doubt his own life. Looking at Chen Guang, who had connections, the assistant felt that Chen Guang must be sent by the heavens to punish him, right? "I can't accept this way of life. Heavens. Earth. This bro is poisonous." Chapter 85. If he really had zero acting skills, I might be able to salvage the situation. But his acting skills are not zero, it's negative. "Bro, you've been learning how not to be a qualified actor for the past 2 weeks." Ever since this assistant had graduated, he had joined Deng Xiaojiang's team. A newcomer who could be picked by Big Beard Deng was also quite talented in the school. After traveling with Big Beard Deng for a year, the assistant boasted that he was very knowledgeable. He had seen all kinds of people and actors. He had also taken on some commercials and acted as a director. He had some achievements and met all kinds of talents. The investor had sent his mistress over to play around with a rich second-generation heir. Okay, there was also his cousin who was studying in high school. Which one of them had a foundation in acting? Didn't that mean that under his constant guidance, the commercial was successfully shot? In the past, the assistant thought that he was talented and that he would eventually become an evergreen tree in the Chinese film industry like Big Beard Deng. He would become a top director who perfectly combined business and art. He would leave behind one blockbuster film after another that was worthy of praise and box office hits. He would leave a strong mark in the history of the Chinese film industry. Until he met Chen Guang. Whether it was the performance type, the method type, or the most extreme experiential type, the assistant thought that he could explain the profound in simple terms to Chen Guang and did a very good personal demonstration. At the same time, he spent a lot of effort to understand the state of the assistant general that Chen Guang was going to play. You are the assistant general. The general that you deeply respect is being humiliated by the other general in a scolding match. How do you feel at this time? Anger, unwillingness, hate each other, with a strong urge to fight with the other party for 300 rounds to restore the dignity of the general. Look at my expression. How should a person look when they are angry? Eyes wide open, nostrils slightly open, lips slightly long, teeth clenched. Come, look at my expression first. Try it in front of this mirror. This was the technique of the performance type. Your nostrils are too big. You remind me of Erkang. Your nostrils are almost covering your face. Can you shrink it a little? Bro, you are hysterical, not angry. Bro, the mirror is crying because of you. Well, for a person with no foundation, it is a bit difficult to use the performance type to act. Let's change our way of thinking. Bro Chen Guang, who is the person that you respect the most since you were a child? The assistant chose to give up the performance type. Chen Guang shook his head. It's my dad. Bro Yang, wait a minute. I know what you want to say. You must want to say, imagine him being humiliated by someone. What kind of expression should he use to face it? You might really say a few curses to demonstrate, but, Brother Yang, with my temper, I'm usually very easy to talk to. I just can't stand people talking bad about my parents. I'm not joking. I really can't say it. Why don't you change your example? I'm really sorry. When the assistant named Yang Shi heard this, he secretly rolled his eyes. If you weren't personally invited by Director Deng, I would really want to strangle you to death. Yang Shi was helpless. Then let's change the person. You are a language teacher in primary school, right? What do you think? Chen Guang was silent. That's my mom. In the end, it was Chen Guang's fake cousin who got implicated. Of course, it was useless. In fact, if it was Chen Guang's parents, not only would it be useless, Chen Guang might even have to go to the hospital to recuperate for a while. Well, the method was also an avalanche. Experience type? Yang Shi only wanted to say 2 words. God had mercy. When Yang Shi was about to collapse, it was lunchtime. The short rest saved his crumbling mind, but it brought him an even more terrifying nightmare. The reason was simple. Big Beard Deng was carrying a lunchbox and strolling over. As Big Beard Deng walked, he stuffed food into his mouth while greeting the crew members who passed by. His steps were very slow, but every step he took was like a blunt knife cutting into Yang Shi's heart, causing him to twitch in pain. At the same time, Chen Guang also knew that his performance this morning was terrible. After 2 hours of struggle, he was faced with a cruel reality. In this world, there were indeed people who were born actors. When they stood in front of the camera, they were like actors. However, there were also people who were not born actors. When they stood in front of the camera, they were like a tragedy. Unfortunately, this tragedy was him. Studying hard for 2 weeks was useless. It only left him with scars. He was helpless. Usually, he swindled people and lied with his eyes wide open. He felt no pressure doing these things. Although he had suffered many setbacks during the past 2 weeks of hard work and was jokingly called the worst acting in history by his classmates, Chen Guang still insisted that he could become a qualified actor. They were just playing a harmless joke on him. But after talking with Yang Shi for so long, he finally realized that he was wrong. Very wrong. The white snake and the other scumbags with their big mouths were not kidding. They were right. They were serious. How embarrassing. How hopeless. Chen Guang also worked very hard. He imagined the scene in his mind. He thought that he was that person. He also knew very well what kind of expression he should make in that situation. But when it came to actual acting, no matter how good he felt about himself, when Xianxia showed him in the mirror, he felt that he was not acting, but a piece of dead pork that had been frozen in the refrigerator for a year. The play within the play and the play in life were completely different for him. But he really did not want to give up this opportunity. Even if he knew that he did not have the talent to be an actor, he could not just wave goodbye to 100,000 yuan. Kid, how is it? After practicing for the whole morning, you should have some results, right? Xianxia is a good director that I found from the Chinese opera. Although he is young, he is good at teaching actors. As you can see, I really can't get out of my nest. I really can't come out to pick you up. Please don't mind me. Big Beard Deng sat on the stool next to Chen Guang and said with a smile as he ate. This morning's shooting was exceptionally smooth. Big Beard Deng was also in a good mood. His whole face looked ruddy. When he spoke, the big beard on his chin trembled with rice. It was very funny. He really did not get hurt by the curse of hitting villains. Chen Guang looked up and squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. Uncle. Interrupting Chen Guang's words, Deng Xiaozheng patted on Chen Guang's shoulder and continued, You don't have to be polite with me. Naturally, you have to do a good job as well. Although it's only 30 seconds of footage, many people are fighting for it. It is not complicated. It is only a 30-second panoramic shot. You just need to be in the middle of the crowd. As long as your expression is basic, it will be fine. I see that you are a smart kid. Such a simple thing, I am sure you can do it well. With your body, you are simply born to act in a martial arts film. I have high hopes for you. Xianxia, I will hand him over to you. After this episode, there will be Chen Guang's scenes. You have to take good care of him. Otherwise, I will hold you accountable. Deng Xiaozheng finished speaking and left. He was really busy. He could not even rest for a meal. Big Beard Deng's last words turned into a sharp knife, stabbing into Xianxia's heart. Chen Guang and Xianxia looked at each other helplessly. They sighed helplessly. Such a disaster was destined to happen. At this time, Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage came together. Chen Guang and Xiangshi's eyes lit up at the same time. Chapter 86. Chen Guang's eyes lit up. He thought that Jiang Yage and Jin Shirui had finally found their conscience and felt that he had saved their lives, so he should at least give them some compensation. When the time came, even if he had to reluctantly accept it, he would pretend to be unwilling and accept it. Xiangshi's eyes lit up because he finally saw his savior. Although Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage were child stars and had been famous for a long time, the two of them had walked step by step to where they were today and stood out from the other child stars. They did not rely on their unpredictable and shocking backgrounds. More importantly, it was because of their diligence and talent. Deng Xiaozheng had once told Xianxia that the reason why he had chosen the left-hand and right-hand duo for this movie was because the two of them were very compatible with the temperament of the character he wanted. The other reason was because of their acting skills. Even a great director like Big Beard Deng, who had seen a lot of things, admired them very much. Different from the general young actors, most of whom are mainly methodical and experiential, Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage are out-and-out expressionists. The control of the two's micro-expressions, a frown, a smile, a frown, and a curl of the lips, were all controlled to the pinnacle, not a bit more, not a bit less. Even Big Beard Deng was amazed. It was really rare to see such a young person reach such a realm in the path of expressionism. Usually, top-notch performers were the exclusive domain of veteran actors, but these two had broken this convention. It could only be explained that these two girls were born with excellent acting skills and had perfect control of their expressions and body details. If not for the fact that the two girls were really young, when Deng Xiaozheng chatted with Xianxia and his other subordinates, he would have described Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage as masters of expressionism. Xiangshi's current idea was to let Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage, the two top-notch young actors, save Chen Guang, who was a rotten piece of wood that he could not carve. They were his last hope. However, he didn't see that Chen Guang was brought in by Jin Jiang and Li Yinghong. He was also worried that these two big shots wouldn't be willing to lower their status to do such an arduous and unrewarding task. According to Yang Shi's judgment, the difficulty of saving Lord Qinguang's pathetic acting skills was as high as 9-0. Forget it, I'll bite the bullet and give it a try. After all, this little brother saved the lives of two big shots. If they're not busy, they might agree, right? Yang Shi decided to take a risk. Just as he stood up and summoned his courage to greet the two young bigwigs, Jiang Yage skipped over and sat next to Qinguang. She slapped Qinguang's shoulder and almost shook Qinguang's chopsticks off. Brother Qinguang, how are you doing? Good luck. I have faith in you. This is your first time in the film and television industry, and you can get 30 seconds of scenes in Big Beard's movie. Seize this opportunity and you'll soar to the sky. Qinguang rolled his eyes. You're not here to give me money. What are you doing here? Don't talk to me. I just want to find a hole to hide in right now. On the other side, Jiang Yage's super familiar actions and tone made Yang Shi, who hadn't had time to speak, dumbfounded. Since when did she become so easy to talk to? Jin Shuiwei didn't sit down. Instead, she took the initiative to talk to Yang Shi. Director Yang, you don't look well. Yang Shi was stunned. He wondered what had happened. Why would she care about a small role in the crew? Could it be? Is there any difficulty in improving Qinguang's acting skills? Jin Shuiwei continued. Well, in fact, she was still concerned about this guy who got in through connections. It had nothing to do with me. But since you've taken the initiative to ask, I'll tell you about my nightmare this morning. About 3 minutes later, Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage finally finished listening to Yang Shi's tearful complaint. Qinguang was also stunned. Bro, do you have to be like this? I don't have much talent, but I can't possibly hurt a young talent like you, who was praised by Big Beard Deng as a good actor. From what you're saying, you're planning to retire from the industry and wash your hands of gold, right? My acting skills are so tyrannical that I can destroy a young director's worldview and outlook on life? Qinguang didn't know that at this time, Yang Shi was really worried about him. He felt that Big Beard Deng had handed him over to him, and in the end, taught him a disaster. Of course, it would make his life gloomy from then on. You two, please help me. Director Deng said that the two of you are rare performance masters among the young actors. Please help me give some pointers to little brother Qinguang, and let him be a little enlightened. He really doesn't have the slightest bit of talent. Even if he knew that his words would offend people, Yang Shi couldn't control his own mouth. When Jiang Yage heard Yang Shi scolding her sweetheart like this, she was immediately unhappy. Director Yang, look at what you're saying. Is our family's brother Qinguang so unbearable? I really don't like hearing your words. Fine, this lady will personally teach him. Anyway, the next line doesn't include me and Shuiwei. I don't believe that this rottenwood can be so rotten. Our family's brother Qinguang? As expected, Jiang Yage's words shocked people to death. Qinguang, Jin Shuiwei and Yang Shi were all shocked by her words. Jin Shuiwei poked Jiang Yage's waist with all her might. She gave her a look. You're going too far. Too far. Jiang Yage laughed mischievously. Just kidding, just kidding. Don't take it seriously. All right, since brother Qinguang has encountered a problem, us sisters should naturally pull out our swords to help. Yang Shi nodded her head like a chick pecking rice. I'll be relying on you too. An hour later, there were two more actors in this world who were doubting their lives. Jin Shuiwei and Yang Shi realized that using rotten wood to describe Qinguang's acting skills was an insult to rotten wood. No matter how capable he was in the water, when it came to acting, he was basically an ironwood slag. Once he sank, he wouldn't be able to get up. Jin Shuiwei blushed and looked helplessly at Qinguang. This, she couldn't say it out loud. Jiang Yage was the one who spoke her mind. Brother Qinguang, everyone is different. God is fair. He opens a window for others, but he will definitely close a door later on. Even if you can't be an actor, it doesn't matter. You're very good in other aspects. Yang Shi also had a bitter expression on his face. He couldn't say a word for a long time. His last life-saving straw had been burned to ashes by the destructive negative acting skills. Master Qinguang wanted to throw down his armor and run away. He couldn't bear the humiliation. Brother Yang, I'm really sorry. Shuriwei and Grace, thank you for your help. I Qin Guang, know my talent is limited. I'm really not cut out for this job. I'm really sorry for wasting everyone's time. I'll go say goodbye to Director Deng. After saying that, Qin Guang walked in the direction of Deng Xiaojing. It wasn't that he was willing to give up the 100,000 yuan. It was purely because after such a long period of training, it had no effect. Even if he was thick-skinned, he really didn't have the courage to continue staying here. After saying that, Qin Guang planned to slip away. Qin Guang, come here. It's your turn. Come over and rehearse first. Find the feeling. At that moment, Big Beard Deng had just finished shooting the previous one and charged straight back. Following Big Beard Deng's loud shout, hundreds of pairs of eyes from the entire crew suddenly fell on Qin Guang. He was the top minor character that Big Beard Deng personally selected. These crew members were also very curious. They all wanted to know if this life-saving benefactor could take this opportunity to enter the entertainment industry. After all, Big Beard Deng rarely made a mistake in judging people. Qin Guang's face turned completely white. This time, it was impossible for him to slip away quietly. However, he couldn't just throw away his job in front of so many people and ruin Big Beard Deng's stage. What should the old man do? Please save me. Quick, give me a world in a cup to practice my acting skills. Chapter 87. Unfortunately, Lu Li ignored him, because he didn't bring the life-saving artifact with him at all, but left it in the car. Hello, Kitty Pink Cup cover. I finally messed up. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have been afraid of embarrassing myself and brought the cup with me. I'm going to kneel. Otherwise, I should just stop being lazy and go buy a normal cup cover as soon as possible. Soldiers are trained for 1,000 days to be used in a single moment. Right now, the old man really needs the Holy Grail to save his career, but he left his only savior in the car. I want to die. Deng Xiaojing called out to him, but seeing that he didn't move, he simply turned around and walked over, laughing as he patted Qin Guang's chest. Kid, weren't you pretty capable before? Why are you so scared now? This isn't like you. Come on, don't be afraid. I'm here to watch. I don't believe that I can't bring you to 30 seconds of the scene. Deng Xiaojing pulled Qin Guang toward the middle of the crowd of people on the set. There were already quite a few people there. The nearby walk-on actors were so envious that their eyeballs almost popped out. To be brought in by Deng Xiaojing personally, this was simply a VIP among walk-ons. Director Deng? Qin Guang wasn't a person without integrity. Even if he wanted to get 100,000 yuan, he felt that he couldn't ruin Deng Xiaojing's reputation and movie. He decided to confess and be lenient. Deng Xiaojing glared at him. Why are you stuttering? Let me tell you. You're not allowed to back out. To tell you the truth, 100,000 yuan was already prepared for you a long time ago. Originally, even if you didn't succeed, as long as you just got the armor back, I would have given you the full amount. But I can't stand seeing you being so wishy-washy. Today, if you don't stay in my scene for 30 seconds, I'm really going to be thick-skinned and not give it to you. What are you afraid of? I, Deng Xiaojing, am going to put my reputation on the line. Even if you don't have any talent, I'll still bring you to stay in this movie for 30 seconds. You can even show your face. Deng Xiaojing didn't know how much Xianxia had taught Qin Guang, but he felt that even if Qin Guang hadn't learned anything at all, it wouldn't be difficult for him to sell it now. My uncle. Do you have to make such a grand aspiration? I feel like both of us will be put in a difficult position. As a result, the VIP walk-on, Qin Guang, was dragged to the center of the set in a daze by Deng Xiaojing. Then, he was pushed onto the back of a horse and sat behind the general with his neck hunched. He didn't look like a general, but more like a prisoner on his way to the execution ground. After a brief hubbub, the noisy set immediately entered rehearsal mode under Big Beard Deng's orders. At this time, although Big Beard Deng had already seen that Qin Guang's condition was not right, he was still full of confidence. No matter who it was, they would not be able to adapt when they appeared on camera for the first time. 2 hours later, Big Beard Deng was completely dumbfounded. He was extremely picky when it came to making movies. Even the slightest flaw would be seen by him on the monitor, and he had zero tolerance for any flaws. That was why his movies were a perfect combination of commercial and artistic value. But it was a pity that Qin Guang's acting skills couldn't be called flaws, but lightning and fire. Big Beard Deng didn't blame Yang Shi. With his attainments, he could see that it wasn't that Yang Shi didn't work hard, but that Qin Guang was hopeless. A good veteran actor could single-handedly revive an entire movie. A rat's poop could also spoil an entire pot of soup. Unfortunately, Qin Guang was the top-notch rat poop in this pot of soup that could fight 100 by himself. Even though Big Beard Deng had deliberately adjusted the position of the camera so that most of Qin Guang's body was hidden behind the general, only a small part of his face was exposed. But that strong sense of incongruity still broke through the sky again and again. If it weren't for the fact that he had boasted in front of everyone and solemnly promised that he would give him 30 seconds of face time in this movie, Big Beard Deng would have gone out to grab an extra long ago. Rehearsing such a short scene with such a huge crew took 2 whole hours. Jiang Yage and Jin Shirui watched from afar, their palms sweating for Qin Guang and Deng Xiaojiang, the 2 poor men who were riding on a tiger's back. Director Deng, I think we should take a break first. Everyone is a little tired. Old Ma jumped out in time and became Big Beard Deng's savior. Big Beard Deng was also helpless. It was meaningless to continue wasting time. He waved his hand. Everyone, take a break. Qin Guang jumped off the horse dejectedly. Director Deng, I think we should just forget about this. I'm really not cut out for this. I'm really sorry for wasting so much of everyone's time. Deng Xiaojiang shook his head. No, this is not your fault. I thought too simply. It's not your fault. You take a break first and adjust yourself. I'll think of a way. You can't leave. Otherwise, where will I put my old face? There must be a way. In the end, Qin Guang did not leave. This matter was no longer just about him. It was about Big Beard Deng's face. Deng Xiaojiang was kind enough to help him. It was fate that made a fool out of him. Qin Guang did not like to leave a mess behind. Yang Shi sat down next to him and sighed. Actually, this is also my fault. If I had come to you 2 weeks earlier and planned earlier, things might not have turned out like this. Qin Guang shook the armor on his body. Wearing such an armor on such a hot day was actually quite uncomfortable. At the same time, he could be considered to have experienced the pain of being an actor. Big Brother Yang, look at what you're saying. I was the one who messed it up, and you guys are taking the blame for it. How can I do that? As the 2 were talking, Jiang Yage ran over with a phone. It was the phone that Qin Guang had given to the props team before the audition. She said, Brother Qin Guang, it's a call for you. She, on the other hand, had become an errand boy. Thanks. Qin Guang took the phone and saw that it was Sun Xiaoxuan. Well, today's acting was ruined, and the swimming competition was cancelled. What an unlucky year. Sun Xiaoxuan asked where he was when he answered the phone. Of course, Qin Guang could not tell the truth. He only said that he was in an emergency and was not at school. Naturally, he could only withdraw from the competition. Sun Xiaoxuan was considerate. He did not ask where he went or what he was doing. Instead, he comforted him. When he finally hung up the phone, Sun Xiaoxuan said that the counselor, Zhuo Jingxi, had been waiting at the swimming pool for 2 hours, but she did not see him. She did not look good, so he asked Qin Guang to go back to school and find a chance to explain it to teacher Yue. After hanging up the phone, Master Qin Guang sighed heavily. This is bad. Sigh. Beside Qin Guang, Jiang Yage, Jin Shirui, and Yang Shi all sighed in unison. Chapter 88. In such a large set, rumors were already flying everywhere. Everyone was whispering endlessly, but because of Big Beard Deng's prestige, no one dared to jump out and accuse him of forcefully pulling Qin Guang into the cast. Of course, almost everyone present also knew that Qin Guang was the big savior of the crew when they encountered the accident in Painting Lake. Although he had delayed their time and things, and also wasted a lot of work, not many people were really dissatisfied with Qin Guang. They just felt a headache for him and felt helpless. In addition to Jin Jiang and Jin Yage, The other 4 people who had been saved by Qin Guang also took advantage of the break to come over and thank him profusely. If it weren't for Jiang Yage secretly informing the 4 that she had already taken care of Qin Guang for the day, the 4 of them would have even planned to hold a feast outside to properly thank Qin Guang. Because of this, although the crew and the actors were helpless and unhappy, they all restrained themselves. Many people even began to sympathize with Qin Guang in their hearts, secretly complaining that Big Beard Deng had to go to a dead end. You said you wanted to express your gratitude, and you didn't lack the money. You could have just given him 100,000 yuan, but you insisted on making him reluctantly play such an insignificant role, but it couldn't get past your own picky eyes. Aren't you putting yourself and little brother Qin Guang on the fire to roast? Isn't that embarrassing? Forget it. Anyway, the one who has the biggest headache from delaying the progress of the shoot is you, the chief director, Deng Xiaojiang. These 2 hours have already been wasted. If you dawdle a little longer, most of the afternoon will be wasted. There will come a time when you, Big Beard Deng, can't take it anymore? Everyone was thinking this in their hearts, and their mouths were only whispering to each other. They were all waiting for the moment when Deng Xiaojiang accepted his fate and gave up on Qin Guang. After watching for so long and rehearsing so many times, as long as one's eyes weren't blind, they could see it. This little brother Qin Guang really didn't have that kind of ability. What's more, it's you, Big Beard Deng. You're so picky, yet you insist on forcing this lord to do it. You're making things difficult for him, and you're making things difficult for yourself. Unfortunately, Deng Xiaojiang had a stubborn temper. Once he decided on something, he would not turn back until he hit the southern wall. Now, his head was almost full of bumps, but he still stubbornly refused to give up. Old Ma had tried to persuade him many times, but Big Beard Deng did not listen. My dear old Deng, look at brother Qin Guang's appearance now. Look at the others too. It's such a hot day, yet everyone is wrapped up tightly in their armor. It's so tiring. Look, everyone is sweating and their faces are red. Isn't this torture? Otherwise, why don't you let little brother Qin Guang off and let you and everyone else go? I'll go get the money and transfer it to him so that he can leave quietly. Okay? Old Ma began to persuade him again. But Deng Xiaojiang was still stubborn. He shook his head. This isn't just about me now. Oh Ma, think about it. I called brother Qin Guang over, but in the end, I wasted so much effort and let him leave with his tail between his legs. Yes, I gave him the money, and the matter ended. But how can I face Qin Guang? Others are sweating, but isn't Qin Guang also tired? The pressure he's under right now is the greatest. I called him over anxiously, but he left with his tail tucked between his legs. What's this? What will others think of him? How disappointed will he be? He can't be like this. He's still a child after all. How much psychological trauma will this cause him? I must try again. If it really doesn't work, I'll pretend to let him pass and redo it later. Old Ma nodded. Okay, I guess that's the only way. Let everyone rest for another 15 minutes, then we'll continue? Deng Xiaojiang nodded helplessly. He looked at his watch. It's 3 in the afternoon now. We'll continue at 3:15. I'll pretend to finish this scene at around 4. We'll wait for brother Qin Guang to go back, then we'll redo it. Tell Jin Shiriyue and Jiang Yage to change their clothes and remove their makeup. They can call it a day. They won't be able to film another scene in the afternoon. It's such a pity for such a good talent for martial arts. Actually, whether it's his temperament, figure, or looks, he's the best actor. It's just that his acting skills are unprecedented. Qin Guang also felt that the atmosphere on the set was lifeless. Of course, he knew why. This scene couldn't go on, and Deng Xiaojiang wouldn't let them leave. It was such a good thing, but it had become such a mess, embarrassing everyone. Shoya, what do you mean by that? Apologize to brother Qin Guang right now. At that moment, Jiang Yage's voice came from not far away. She had her hands on her hips, glaring at the actor who had played the role of the fugitive strategist like an angry rooster. Beside her, Jin Shiriyue was trying to persuade her, but Jin Shiriyue was also looking at Zhouya with disdain. Qin Guang turned his head and saw the 3 of them huddled together, making a ruckus. Zhouya's military robe was half-draped, and he was sweating profusely from the heat. After being questioned by Jiang Yage in such a loud voice, and even asked to apologize to Chen Guang, he looked like he was in a difficult position. He was also depressed. He had only arrived on set a few days ago to participate in the mid-filming, so he wasn't there when the boat incident happened. Although he had heard from others that Chen Guang had saved people, he hadn't experienced it himself, so he didn't feel much about it. Besides, it didn't have much to do with him anyway. Chapter 89. Seeing that the quarrel had broken out, some people wanted to step forward and mediate. However, the quarrel was between the two superstars on one side and the veteran actor Zhou Ye on the other. The quarrel was rather high-end. If it was not for the fact that the two parties were on good terms with each other, ordinary people would not have dared to step in for fear of bringing trouble upon themselves. Of course, the person who was the most agitated at the moment was Jiang Yage. The other people in the production team who had worked with the two of them for a long time had a rough idea of their personalities. Jin Shirui was easier to deal with. She was steady and dignified, and would not easily reveal her true colors. Jiang Yage and Jin Shirui were complete opposites. If Jin Shirui was a dignified and beautiful young lady from a respectable family, Jiang Yage was purely an unruly and willful young lady from a rich family. Jiang Yage's personality was not entirely a headache. At least within the production team, she was quite popular. Although she was a big-shot celebrity herself, she never put on any airs. Instead, she could always chat happily with the people around her without any sense of propriety. At the same time, everyone knew that once this lady's temper flared up, it was impossible to hold her back. The dense beard on Big Beard Deng's face had once been chipped off by this lady angrily with a lighter. In the end, the only person who dared to step forward to mediate was Deng Xiaojing. All right, what's with the quarrel? Behave yourselves. This is still work, all of you better be serious. Big Beard Deng shouted at the top of his lungs as he walked over. After all, Big Beard Deng was the backbone of everyone on the set. As soon as he moved, many people immediately turned to look at him. When Zhou Ye saw that Big Beard Deng had been lured over, he instinctively shrunk his neck. Actually, he was not in a good state that day, and he was afraid that Big Beard would take advantage of the situation to teach him a lesson. Jiang Yage, on the other hand, seemed to have found someone to rely on. She pointed at Zhou Ye and said, "Director Deng, you didn't hear what Zhou Ye said just now. Chen Guang helped us so much, so how can he speak of him in such a manner? He said that brother Chen Guang wanted to repay his kindness. This is too much." Hearing this, Deng Xiaogang's expression froze. He looked at Chen Guang, who was watching from afar, with some shame. On the other side, Zhou Ye knew that things were not looking good when she saw Deng Xiaogang's expression. It seemed that Director Deng really cared about Chen Guang's feelings. If Jiang Yage had not pointed this out, perhaps the situation could have been eased. Now that things had come to this, Zhou Ye might as well throw caution to the wind. He stiffened his neck and said loudly, "Am I wrong? I knew he had saved someone. It was a great act of heroism." But could this be confused with whether he could act or not? Everyone knows that Director Deng's attitude towards making movies is one of the most serious and rigorous people in the industry. He strives for perfection. Our movie is also one of the most anticipated domestic blockbusters of the year on the internet. If Chen Guang really had the slightest ability to act well and could pass this scene under Director Deng's standards, of course it would be great news for everyone. As he said this, Zhou Ye gulped again. He carefully observed everyone's expressions and continued, "But now? How long has it been? It's been almost a whole day." Everyone could clearly see that he really didn't have the ability to do so, yet he still insisted on doing it. Director Deng owed him a favor, so he could not bring himself to make things clear. "But we are making a movie and we are doing art. We can't make do with this. The millions of people in the country will not agree to this. Since that's the case, someone has to stand up and be the bad guy. I, Zhou Ye, will take care of this bad guy today. It doesn't matter if I offend people, make everyone unhappy, or make them unhappy. I, Zhou Ye, will accept it." Although Deng Xiaojang was determined to let Chen Guang rehearse again, He could not deny that what Zhouya said made sense. He had already decided to pretend to let Chen Guang cross the line. This was the only compromise he could make. But on the surface, he did not agree with Zhouya's opinion, so he glared at him and said, "Shut up. Whether my decision is right or wrong, I will take responsibility for it. It's not up to any of you to point your fingers and meddle in my affairs." As soon as Deng Xiaojiang said this, his eyes widened. The prestige of a famous director was on full display, and everyone immediately kept quiet out of fear. Everyone, including Zhouya, suddenly remembered that no matter what, the person standing in front of them was Deng Xiaojiang. Don't be fooled by his cheerful appearance, but when he really got angry, he was famous in the industry for not giving a damn about his own family. If he insisted on something, everyone had to shut up. As a famous director, he had this kind of temper and arrogance. Seeing that the situation had reached a boiling point, Chen Guang made up his mind. He stood up and said, "Director Deng. Chen Guang, don't mind me. I Deng Xiaojiang always keep my word. Whether it's right or wrong in my crew, I have the final say." Deng Xiaojiang interrupted Chen Guang. Chen Guang knew that his uncle was determined to stand up to him. Even if it meant offending a famous actor, he would not hesitate. To be honest, Chen Guang was very touched. He never thought that Deng Xiaojiang would side with him like this. Deng Xiaojiang had only saved a few people, yet Chen Guang had embarrassed him so much that he had no choice but to act unreasonable in front of everyone. Chen Guang felt very guilty. Chen Guang made a decision, "Director Deng. Call me uncle." Fine, he was interrupted by Deng Xiaojiang again. Deng Xiaojiang meant that he didn't even care about the investors anymore. He would just treat him as his nephew. He was going to waste an entire day's worth of investors' money for his nephew. Fine, uncle. This is what I think. I really want to try, but it's already been a whole day. If I keep wasting time like this, I'll be letting everyone down. How about this, we compromise? I'll just rehearse one more time. If it still doesn't work, I won't say anything and will leave immediately. Uncle, even if you want me to stay, I won't be able to. I really don't have the face to stay. Apart from that, I also want to apologize to Mr. Zhouya, as well as all the other crew members and actors who were delayed by me. Because of me, everyone has worked so hard. If that was it, then the matter would end here. Forget it, let's not rehearse for the next one. Let's just shoot it. If it succeeds, it succeeds. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Chen Guang said firmly. Seeing his determined and serious expression, Deng Xiaojiang sighed helplessly in his heart. Fine, it turns out you have a stubborn temper. You really suit my taste. It's just a pity your acting skills. Sighed. Fine, let's rest for another 10 minutes. Then we'll start shooting. Let's shoot it. Deng Xiaojiang put the final nail in the coffin. Jiang Yage couldn't be bothered to continue arguing with Zhouya. She quickly ran over to Chen Guang and said, "Time is tight. Let's practice one last time." Chen Guang shook his head. "No, let me tell you, I was too nervous before in front of the camera. That's why I didn't perform well. I put the glass of water in the car. Let me drink some water to calm myself down. I promise, when I get back from the shock, this shot will definitely make you look at me in a different light. Otherwise, I'll dig out my own eyes. In this life, not only will I never act in a movie again, I won't even watch one." When he spoke, Chen Guang's tone was resolute and decisive. He was filled with unprecedented confidence and resolution. After saying this, Chen Guang ran out of the set in his armor and went straight to the parking lot. His movements were so fast that Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage were completely caught off guard. When they came to their senses, he was already far away. Jin Shirui looked at Jiang Yage in a daze. "Yage, what did he just say? Drink some water to calm himself down? He'll be able to act well after he calms himself down?" Jiang Yage nodded vigorously. "Yes." Yang Shi sighed. "I think what he wants to drink must be juice from the Queen Mother of the West's flat peach. Otherwise, how could he be so confident?" Lord Shenguang didn't care what other people thought. At that moment he was sitting in the car, holding the pink kitty Holy Grail and carrying out an extremely difficult negotiation. "Sister Lioli, my elder sister, My empress. My grandaunt. Old man kneels to you. You must save me this time. Save me. Otherwise, I'm dead meat. Come out and show yourself, or I'll slit my throat in front of you. Be good, don't make a fuss and help me. If I screw up this time, I really won't be able to live on. The glazed bodhisattva who saves me from suffering, please have pity on me and help me out. Holding the glass with both hands, Mr. Qin Guang, who had been so confident in front of everyone, was now wailing and wailing at the glass. This was really a negotiation. A negotiation between a man and a glass. Chapter 90. Unfortunately, it didn't matter if he threatened her with death, cried to the heavens and earth, or called her great aunt. Emperor of the Azure didn't make a move no matter what. The bikini beauty on the heavenly Holy Grail was still as mysterious and unmoving as a mountain. After the incident at Wenxing Town Branch, Qin Guang was 100% sure that Emperor of the Azure knew what he was talking about. She was just pretending to be a fool and pretending to be profound. Hearing those words, Qin Guang's forehead was covered in black lines. Even if you want to play deep, I can't bring myself to respect you in your bikini. No way, now that things had come to this, the old man could only use his trump card. I'll let you see what it means to have no moral integrity and no lower limit. The old man will fight it out with you. All right, since you insist on pretending to be offline, then don't blame the old man for using his trump card. You forced me to do this. I'll fight it out with you. Otherwise, give me the world in a cup to practice my acting skills. Otherwise, hee. As Qin Guang spoke, he opened the cup and drank the remaining half of the tea in one gulp. Then he poured the tea leaves away. Following that, he closed the car window and locked the car door. Then he swiftly unbuckled the belt of his armor. He hated that he was wearing armor and didn't have the familiar zipper. It made his domineering actions less powerful. However, it didn't matter. As expected, the Emperor of the Azure, who had been complacently in the world in a cup, had an ominous thought when she saw this scene. Looking at this grandson's posture, he was going to use that trick. This bastard was going to piss on the cup. Are you really going to break the limit of how low you can go in my billions and billions of years of life? I'm one of the top 10 god emperors in the endless heavenly realm, and I'm being threatened by a mere mortal like you. You should at least maintain basic respect for me, the god emperor. I really want to strangle this guy to death. When Qin Guang completely unbuckled his belt and was ready to take off his armor, Emperor of the Azure knew that she could not remain silent any longer. With Qin Guang's personality, he really could do it. Hey. Don't go too far. The next time you enter the cup world, I'll let you have a taste of my goddess's 3 days and 3 nights. Emperor of the Azure couldn't hold it in any longer. She roared in Qin Guang's mind. Don't you know that I'm preparing for the next world in the cup? You've forced me to come out and talk nonsense with you again. You've wasted my divine power and the energy of the heavenly Holy Grail for nothing. Believe it or not, you won't even have a health pod next time. You good for nothing. Can you not disturb me every time you encounter something? You're the god's chosen savior. Can you learn to be self-reliant? Seeing that this woman finally couldn't hold it in any longer, Qin Guang was relieved. He was most afraid that she would completely disappear. As long as she appeared, there would definitely be room for discussion. He only asked, Sis, don't joke around. You've already said that since I'm the god's chosen savior, I know that I have a very cool and domineering cheat. Wouldn't I be stupid if I didn't ask you for help when I'm in a bad situation? You're right. I have nothing to say to that. Emperor of the Azure was instantly defeated. Qin Guang grinned. At least you know what's good for you. Hurry up and give me a world in the cup to improve my acting skills. Hurry up and stop talking nonsense. I really don't have that. The preparation work isn't complete yet. If you activate the world in the cup, you might die in there. Besides, even if I can give you the world in the cup now, it's impossible for you to practice your acting skills. Young man, wake up. Right now, the heavenly Holy Grail is only the most basic level. It's just for you to practice your English. At the same time, the sea of moments in the immortal heaven also gave you a great body. Or perhaps it's just to practice your gaming skills. These things that rely on reflexes and a little experience aren't a problem. However, acting skills are much more difficult than the previous 2 times. This requires you to have perfect control of your own emotions. More importantly, you need to be very familiar with the emotional changes of the character you're playing. This requires much more knowledge than learning English and playing games. You'll need at least the world in the cup, which is the 2nd level of heaven. For now, you'd better save it. Emperor of the Azure decisively rejected. There's no world in the cup. There's no room for discussion. Even if you want to pee into the cup, I'll accept it. Emperor of the Azure said seriously. I don't care. Anyway, you have to help me this time. If I can't act today, I won't live anymore. I'll let you have a taste of the holy virgin water that the old man has kept for so many years. Whatever you say is useless. You better be more like it. You have to know that you'll still have to use this cup to drink water later. Emperor of the Azure felt like her divinity was about to collapse. Chen Guang said coldly, "Oh ho, for the sake of money, for the sake of the old man's reputation, I can totally overcome this difficulty. That's 180,000 yuan in total. That's enough for my mother's medical expenses for 9 months. For the sake of money, I'm going all out. I'm going to perish together with you. Don't you have the divine spell to control emotions? Give me one. I want to become the best actor in a second." Relying on the fact that he was the only savior, old Master Chen Guang was so desperate, so shameless, and so unscrupulous. He would only win if he was willing to fight. But look at me, I'm already wearing a bikini. If I do it again, I'll be naked. Besides, the next world in the cup will also be affected. I might not even be able to keep Mosaic's nutrition pod. You're such a short-sighted person. You can't be this shameless. You're forcing a good girl to be a prostitute. This old lady is a decent god emperor. How am I going to raise my head and be a god in the future? Liu Li deeply experienced a famous saying on Earth that she had just learned not long ago. She was the golden finger that could take him to show off and fly, but he didn't hesitate to put down his moral integrity for the sake of a small profit in front of him. Killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. Shameful. Stupid. Mortal. Chen Guang chuckled. Didn't I buy a cute jacket for you? Look at this pink, how cute is it? Besides, I also swear to God that even if you really become naked, I will absolutely not take this cup off. I guarantee that you won't be exposed. After a period of time, won't your lustrous feathered dress slowly recover? As for the world in the cup being affected, who cares so much? In any case, I need your help now. I can't wait for a second. I can't even get through the current difficulties, and the avalanche is about to happen. Who cares about what will happen in the future? Stop talking nonsense. I think you won't accept a toast only to be punished. Old man will let you see my determination. Take this. After saying that, he really intended to untie his belt. Chapter 91. Emperor of the Azure's face was livid. Young man, you're courting death. The next time you come in, I'll strangle you to death. I don't even want my face anymore. Why would I be afraid of death? Friend, you're too naive. Give me a definite answer. Are you doing it or not? Chen Guang had decided that he would be a big villain with an immunity card. Anyway, he had Liu Li in his grasp. He was the only one who couldn't die. After about 10 seconds of silence, seeing that Chen Guang was really about to pull down his pants, Emperor of the Azure finally gritted her teeth and said heavily, I'll do it. But you'd better keep your word. Don't remove the condom on the heavenly holy grail. Otherwise, humph. Chen Guang nodded heavily. A man's words carry enormous weight. You're such a B***tish, and you have the cheek to say that I'm a man? I'm really unlucky to have chosen you. Cut the crap and bring me to your whatever filming site. Remember not to let me leave your side. When you get on the horse, I'll give you a super domineering top-notch mind control. You'll have top-notch acting skills for at least half an hour. But I'll say the ugly words first. No matter how capable or arrogant you are now, when you witness the weakened world in the cup and the kind comfort I'll give you, you'll definitely not want to repeat today's mistakes. You'd better be mentally prepared. Lily was really furious. Master Chen Guang didn't panic at all. Anyway, you can't beat me to death. Why would I be afraid of you? With the artifact in hand, I have the world. Hiding the cup under his armor, Chen Guang whistled as he returned to the filming site. His face was brimming with a confident smile. He felt that life was just so beautiful. Jiang Yage saw him walking over from afar and exclaimed, "I don't know why, but I feel that his face is practically glowing. It's so dazzling." Jin Shiyue didn't believe it. She also turned to look. "It's true." Yang Shi turned pale with fright. Could it be that this guy really has some kind of miraculous elixir that can turn a pathetic rookie into a phoenix in an instant? You guys changed your clothes just like that? Chen Guang leisurely stood in front of Jin Ling and Jiang Yu. He was in the mood to comment on their clothes, completely forgetting that he was still in a terrible fix because of his acting skills. It couldn't be helped. People with backing were just that confident. "Can you stop showing off?" Jiang Yage rushed forward and grabbed Chen Guang's shoulder. She pointed at Zhouya and said, "Come on, let's hurry up and practice again. You've already talked big. This is really your last chance. You're not really thinking of apologizing to that guy, are you?" Poor Zhouya. Before this, Jiang Yage had called him senior, but now he had become a fellow. Following the direction of Jiang Yage's finger, Chen Guang looked over and saw Zhouya looking in their direction with a helpless expression. Zhouya had no other choice. Deep down, he really didn't want to offend these two. Unfortunately, what was done could not be undone. Things had already come to this. He could only hope that when this guy apologized to him, he would take the opportunity to act magnanimous and mend their relationship. How could I have imagined that you two big shots would care so much about this young man? Jin Shiyue pressed Jiang Yage's hand down and said to Chen Guang, "Solomon is right. Chen Guang, you should practice some more. Drinking water can only calm your nerves. You can't possibly turn someone into an Oscar winner, right?" Chen Guang waved his hand. "No need to practice. I'll just do it." No matter who tried to persuade him, it was useless. He knew that it would be a waste of time for him to practice. He only had half an hour to act as an Oscar winner. Of course, good steel had to be used where it mattered most. They didn't rest for long. Following Deng Xiaojiang's orders, everyone went back to filming. Although everyone was a professional, there were still quite a few people who subconsciously focused their attention on Chen Guang. The actual filming hadn't even started yet, but Deng Xiaojiang had already shouted "cut" many times. He pointed at many people's faces and sprayed them with saliva. Only then did the people in the camera finally adjust their state of mind. As for the idlers outside the camera, they didn't have to worry. They all held their breaths and waited with rapt attention for the last scene of Chen Guang's life. How pitiful! After today's performance, he would probably have a shadow in his heart whenever he saw the set again. At that moment, Deng Xiaojiang looked at Chen Guang, who was riding on a warhorse and wearing a suit of armor. He also felt that the wind was bleak and the water was cold, and that the hero would never return. He silently prayed in his heart, "Brother Chen Guang, have a safe journey." Although Zhouya couldn't turn his head to look at Chen Guang, he still thought to himself, "I've really underestimated this kid's shamelessness. If it were me, I would have left a long time ago. I never thought that he would actually dare to come back." He mounted his horse again and stood in front of the camera. "Keep trying to show off. I'd like to see how embarrassed you are later. If you're really here to apologize sincerely, then I'll reluctantly forgive you for the sake of Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage." On the other side, Jin Shiyue, Jiang Yage and Yang Shi seemed to have foreseen the ending. They stood far away with their fists clenched tightly and tears in their eyes. This was, after all, a brave warrior's last desperate charge. Today, Chen Guang was just as miserable, tragic and resolute as Don Quixote. Even if he failed in the end, he was still worthy of respect. At the very least, he didn't become a deserter. Jiang Yage's eyes sparkled as she watched. If her previous impression of Chen Guang had been that he was her savior, then right now, She felt that she had reacquainted herself with this person who was the same age as her. No matter what, the current him was really very handsome. Most people wouldn't be able to stand in front of the camera as courageously as he did after suffering such a serious injury. That really required a lot of courage. Jiang Yage felt that his confident smile was as handsome as the blazing sun in the sky. Beside her, Jin Shiyue didn't say a word either. Her beautiful eyes looked at Chen Guang with sparkling eyes, and her breathing gradually slowed down. She was even more nervous than Chen Guang himself. On the other side, Deng Xiaozheng took a deep breath and waved his hand. 3, 2, 1. Ready, go. Really? Let's do it. When Deng Xiaozheng shouted, ready, Chen Guang suddenly roared in his heart. He immediately felt a warm current flowing from his waist, instantly occupying his entire mind. This warm current was like a brush covered in ink, fiercely brushing across Chen Guang's scalp. A strong and irresistible subconscious suggestion swept through his brain like a tidal wave, occupying his consciousness. These hints were constantly telling him, you're a best actor. The strongest best actor. Your acting skills can break through the heavens. Chen Guang was clearly aware of every change in his consciousness, but he couldn't understand it at all. He finally understood how Wu Tong felt back then. Even though he knew that with his deceptive acting skills, he wouldn't even be able to touch the toes of a best actor, he still believed it. Emperor of the Azure's hypnosis was simply too amazing. Even if he didn't believe it, he had to believe it. This was like a fugitive holding a knife to your neck and asking you to accept $1 million in cash. You had to cry and kneel to accept it. The next moment, Chen Guang's expression changed. Brother, this was best actor. Born best actor. Chapter 92. This was exactly what Xianxia had wanted: anger, belligerence, a hint of excitement, and a hint of madness. As a deputy general who longed to make a name for himself and shed blood for his general, he had no choice but to suppress his high fighting spirit before the two sides officially started fighting. At that moment, Chen Guang was just sitting there on his horse, but he gave off the feeling of a general who had been on the battlefield for many years. But this was not the end. He had also grasped the state that a deputy general should be into the pinnacle, no more, no less, just right. He had done a much better job than Xianxia had requested, countless times better. Big Beard Deng's eyes were wide open as he stared at the screen. There were a total of 8 monitors in front of him, 2 of which were focused on Chen Guang's face from different angles. After so many rehearsals, the other actors had already found the feeling. Deng Xiaozheng only cared about Chen Guang's performance. When he saw Chen Guang's impeccable performance, Deng Xiaozheng was so excited that his eyes were brimming with tears. The last time he had been moved to tears by an actor's acting had been many years ago. Deng Xiaozheng thought he had almost forgotten the feeling of being moved on the set. His so-called pursuit of artistic creation had gradually become a numb, mechanical repetition. He had even felt that he had lost the joy of filming. But today, he had tears in his eyes as he looked at the monitor. He had even forgotten to shout, "Cut!" until the end of the scene. This is obviously just the performance of an insignificant supporting character. Why am I witnessing such a masterful performance? He felt that the entire afternoon's delay was worth it for Chen Guang's perfect performance. It was old Ma, who was next to him, who was desperately poking his waist, that pulled Deng Xiaozheng back from his dazed state. He quickly waved his hand. Okay. Passed. He passed this test. Really passed. It's not fake. Deng Xiaozheng's reaction left everyone scratching their heads in confusion. Only old Ma, who was at the side, knew what he meant. The other actors in the camera looked at each other. Did director Deng mean that they could call it a day? Zhouye turned his head around and stared intently at Chen Guang's face. He did not manage to see how the man had acted earlier, and he only felt that it was too unbelievable. How could it be over? Is director Deng trying to fool us? He then looked at the other staff on the set, only to find that they were all looking at Chen Guang as if they had discovered a new continent. What the hell was going on? I can't understand it. Jiang Yage had already rushed to Chen Guang and shouted, I knew you could do it. You can do it. You are a natural-born actor. Oh no, a natural-born best actor. This is the first time you've ever been on screen, and you're already able to act like this. My God. I feel like I've wasted the last 10 years of my career in movies. Jean Shuiwei was not as excited as Jiang Yage, but her face was also flushed, and she could not stop smiling. Yang Shi, on the other hand, collapsed on the beach chair as if he had collapsed. My God, big brother, don't play with my heart like that. The contrast between what you did and what you did was too big. My outlook on life is about to be destroyed. All the signs pointed to Chen Guang really doing it. Zhou Ye fiercely shook his head. He was a veteran actor, someone who was well-versed in how to become a qualified actor. Even if you beat him to death, he would never believe that Chen Guang could actually put on such a stunning performance in just a single day. You guys are not pretending to be amazed so that he will think that he passed, and then take the money and leave with a clear conscience, are you? But your acting is over the top. This is too much. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I don't believe that he really passed. There must be something wrong. Zhou Ye shouted in a daze and rushed to the monitor. At that moment, Big Beard Deng was watching the close-up of Chen Guang's expression on the monitor with a group of people behind him. He clicked his tongue in wonder. Seeing that Zhou Ye still did not believe him, he was a little annoyed. Big Beard Deng stood up. Zhou Ye, if you're willing to bet, you're willing to admit defeat. This is very disappointing. Fine, you might think that it's impossible and unrealistic. Then come and see for yourself. I'd like to see if you have the cheek to say that he hasn't passed the scene yet. Come and see for yourself. Big Beard was tall and strong, and he had a fiery temper. He rushed forward and grabbed Zhou Ye, who was swinging over like a ghost, by the back of his shirt and placed him directly in front of the monitor. Then he shoved Zhou Ye's head forward, almost knocking it. Come closer and look. Look closely. Zhou Ye's eyes widened, and he stared at the monitor. He really could not accept it. But he was not stupid. He only watched for 5 seconds, and he understood. This kid has really brought a supporting role to life. It's true. He's been reborn. Zhou Ye sat on the ground, his expression as if he had seen a ghost. The others on the set did not react as exaggeratedly as Zhou Ye, but at that moment, all of them looked shocked. Many of the young actresses looked at Chen Guang with admiration. If it were not for Jiang Yage hanging around Chen Guang all the time, these young actresses would probably have gone up to Chen Guang and flirted with him. Chen Guang had already expected these people to be so shocked. He only felt that it was a pity. He had prepared half an hour of acting, but in the end, the old man had only just started showing off, and all of them had already failed. This is not right. You bunch of weaklings. The old man still has at least 10,000 kinds of amazing acting skills that he has yet to show. The old man felt like he had painstakingly cultivated a peerless divine skill, and finally arranged to fight his lifelong enemy at the summit of Mount Hua. In the end, he had only pulled out a small part of his sword, and the excess sword chi that came out of the scabbard had instantly killed his lifelong enemy. It was so unbearable. If I had known that the heavenly Holy Grail was so powerful, I wouldn't have wasted so much effort and time for nothing. Wouldn't everything have been fine if I had taken out the divine artifact earlier? I'm so ket up. Forget it, I'll forgive you bunch of ignorant country bumpkins for the sake of the 80,000 yuan bonus. Show off all you want. Just you wait. Soon, I'll teach you how to be an adult. Go ahead and use your imagination to see what the health pod will become if it shrinks even further. I'm telling you, the next world in the cup, I'll definitely set a new low for you. This is all your own doing. No. I'll kick you if you don't. The Emperor of the Azure's voice rang out at an inopportune moment. Chen Guang pursed his lips and thought to himself, keep scaring me. The old man grew up being scared. Chapter 93. Seeing that he was stubborn, Emperor of the Azure gritted her teeth and said angrily, fine, you win. This emperor will leave first. I have to think of a way to at least save your life. Otherwise, you'll really play yourself and me to death. Why am I so unlucky? I met such a scammer as you. My corium or divine eyes are really blind. As Emperor of the Azure's hysterical roar gradually dissipated, Chen Guang's feeling of being hypnotized into a movie king also quickly faded. Facing this woman's threat, Chen Guang indifferently rolled his eyes. The old man is a protagonist-level man with a godly artifact. His life is so hard that he doesn't care about anything else. Even if the sky falls down, there's still you, the dignified emperor, to support it. What am I afraid of? If there's really a possibility of going overboard, I believe that even if you have intimate contact with the virgin holy water, you won't agree. Chen Guang finally grasped Liuli's weak point. There's no other way, this brother is just so confident. Just as he was complacently pretending to be pretentious, Jiang Yage directly rushed in front of him and opened her arms. Yo yo yo. This brother has become a movie king, and immediately there's a cute girl throwing herself into my arms? Looking at Jiang Yage's appearance from the beginning to the end, and the expression on her face at this time, she is 100% in love with my charm. This feeling is good. Well, it's time for me to let go of my unnecessary reservation and shyness. As long as I can get this little girl, the millions of dollars that my family owes me are nothing. In order to make it easier for my father, in order to cure my mother's illness, I don't hesitate to sacrifice my body. My little sister Yage, don't stop, continue to hug me. I vaguely remember you're tall and plump, that taste is unforgettable. Then, Jiang Yage patted his shoulder and said with a smile, "Oh, you did a good job, young man." Chen Guang didn't guess wrong. Jiang Yage almost couldn't help but throw herself into his arms. However, considering that they were in public, she didn't have that many taboos. But she knew that she was an eye-catching star after all, and Chen Guang was just an ordinary college student. If she behaved too intimately with him in public, it might bring a devastating disaster to Chen Guang's normal life. In the end, she managed to hold it in. She was indeed a top-notch performer. The expression on her face was natural, like a magic trick. Even Chen Guang was fooled. "TSK, since you're not going to throw yourself at me, then why are you opening your hands? You're not a crab, so why are you wasting my expression? Won't this cause misunderstandings?" Chen Guang rolled his eyes. "Thank you for your compliment, but don't you know who I am? Are you kidding me?" He quickly went to collect the 80,000 first, lest Zhou Yaluo ran away. A long night is fraught with trouble. He rushed to the monitor. Zhou had just recovered from his daze, but when he turned around he saw Chen Guang standing next to him with a smile on his face. Zhou first looked at Big Beard Deng, who was standing next to him without saying a word. He made up his mind and finally lowered his noble head slightly. "Chen Guang, I'm very sorry for my rudeness just now." "I'm sorry." Zhou lowering of his head meant that all of the crew's dissatisfaction with Chen Guang that day had vanished. After all, his last live performance was impeccably perfect. It also proved that the previous 2 hours of hard work had been completely worth it. Many people even thought to themselves that this was the kid's first time acting, yet he was already so perfect and eye-catching. They were afraid that it wouldn't be long before there would be another young best actor in the Chinese entertainment industry. The younger generation would surpass the older in time. Chen Guang waved his hand nonchalantly. "Mr. Zhou, let bygones be bygones. I understand that you were just being responsible for the movie. Uncle, let's just forget about it. Please don't blame Mr. Zhou." Of course, Chen Guang was not such a magnanimous person. However, seeing that this old man had rushed out to act like an adorable child of wealth, Chen Guang really couldn't bear to be cold to him. Even if he didn't care about the monk's face, he still cared about the money. Zhou face alternated between red and white. He had just been thinking that he should be more magnanimous when this person apologized to him because of his connections. He never thought that the tides would turn. Instead, it was this kid who was the first to put on an attitude of letting bygones be bygones. How shameful! Mr. Chen's magnanimity makes me feel ashamed. "Thank you for your magnanimity, Mr. Chen." Zhou cupped his hands and bowed his head. "But Mr. Zhou, I still remember your bet. Hee, this is my PayPal account number. Mr. Zhou, why don't you transfer the money first?" Chen Guang swiftly pulled out his phone and held it out in front of Zhou. Every minute that the money was not in his pocket was another minute of restlessness. Zhou Ye was speechless. Deng Xiaozheng smacked Qin Guang's head in annoyance. You little brat, Zhou Ye is a big shot. Do you think he'd go back on his word? You're such a shady person. Chen Guang chuckled. Someone who refused to lend me his pants and caused my savior to run around the lake naked has no right to say that I'm shady. Do you still want that 100,000? You're my uncle. Don't stoop to my level. Chen Guang was decisive. 10 minutes later, Chen Guang returned to the car. He took out the heavenly holy grail from his sleeve and put it in the cup holder. Chen Guang lay on the driver's seat, glancing at the balance displayed on his PayPal from time to time. He was grinning so widely that his mouth was about to split open. Oh my God! I've only shown off a little, and that's 180,000 yuan in my account. About 30 seconds later, Chen Guang cried. With a shake of his hand, Fu Zhibao transferred the money to his father's account. Dad, don't ask me how I got this money. In any case, your son didn't break the law and earned it properly. Mom's medical expenses for this year should be enough, right? Don't make it too hard on yourself. Don't buy cigarettes that cost less than 10 yuan. It's too harmful to your body. Don't tell Mom that I've earned so much money. She's worried for nothing. I love your son, Chen Guang. After sending a text to his father, Chen Guang decisively blacklisted him. Needless to say, his father definitely had a lot to ask him. It was no joke. For a university student who hadn't even graduated to suddenly throw out 180,000 yuan. Chen Guang knew that his father had always been thick-skinned and wasn't afraid of being scared. Otherwise, he would be worried that his father would give him a heart attack. But I'm a righteous person, I earn money with my own abilities. I don't go against my conscience. Alright, I earn money with Lioli's abilities. A minute later, old Master Chen Guang cried again. His father replied with a text. Son, well done. But you have to explain to me clearly how you earned this money. It has to be the right way. You can't risk your life. Otherwise, I'll come to Wujing to look for you with a bundle of thorns on my back. Do as you see fit. Also, Wujing City Hospital informed me to bring your mother here for a checkup in a few days. If there's a chance, she can get a kidney transplant. I reckon that the 200,000 yuan we have now isn't enough. I plan to sell the house under your uncle's name. It should be able to sell for about 300,000 yuan. That'll be just enough to raise the 500,000 yuan. After this, your mother and I will rent a house to live in. Don't be too tired and study hard. In the future, our family will still have to rely on you, a university student. I love your father very much, Qin Guoli. Chen Guang sucked in a breath of cold air. The house under his uncle's name was the family's last property. If he sold it, his father, who had worked hard for most of his life, would end up renting a house at his old age. That would be too miserable. Fine, the most pressing shortfall is still 300,000 yuan. My heart is so tired. Dad, your love is so deep. Your son feels a lot of pressure. Chapter 94. Actually, before they left the set, Deng Xiaozhang was trying his best to keep Chen Guang in the production team. He tried all sorts of ways to persuade Chen Guang to stay, and he was just short of changing the role of the male lead to Chen Guang. Chen Guang was tempted, but he didn't dare to accept it. He really didn't have the courage and guts to do so. He didn't need to think too much to know how much was in this bottle of water of his. Becoming the best actor once had already forced Emperor of the Azure to the brink of collapse. The next world in the cup would obviously make her feel so good that she would explode into the sky. Do it again? Rely on the heavenly holy grail to become the best actor? Hee, the old man hasn't lived long enough. The same trick, if I use it too many times, it will definitely go wrong. Don't think that I'm shameless and have no moral integrity, and that I've overexploited the heavenly holy grail and the colored glazed divine emperor, completely disregarding sustainable development, but in fact, I have a very subtle limit in my heart. How to get along with Emperor of the Azure, how to develop the heavenly holy grail's power to a greater extent, how to control the degree of courting death, this is a great knowledge that no one has ever learned before. Minors shouldn't learn it easily, it could cost their lives. Therefore, Chen Guang didn't dare to stay any longer. He had to run away no matter what, so he turned around and left. His departure made Jiang Yage and Jin Shiyue, who had just changed their clothes and had yet to remove their makeup, extremely anxious. Big Beard Deng had already said that both of their scenes were over for the day. Of course, Jiang Yage wouldn't let this rare day of vacation go to waste. She decided without hesitation that she would go out with Chen Guang today to further their understanding and relationship. For a celebrity of her level, this was a once-in-a-lifetime vacation that she couldn't even beg for. Originally, she was worried that Jin Shiyue wouldn't be willing to go with her. She didn't expect that the moment she brought up this idea, Jin Shiyue would agree without hesitation. As for Chen Guang, how could he refuse? Jiang Yage wasn't worried. Because when she was helping Chen Guang get his phone, she found something interesting. She felt that she could use this to make Chen Guang obediently submit. On the other hand, Chen Guang had gotten his money and transferred it out. His acting career had come to an end. He didn't know if he would have a chance to get close to Big Beard Deng in the future. He felt a little regretful. In short, Chen Guang felt that this uncle was really a good person. If he came to Wujing City to play or have a vacation in the future, he would do his best as a host and take him to the scenic spots around Wujing City. Chen Guang really didn't understand what the life of a top director like Deng Xiaojiang was like. He didn't even know the difference between the so-called upper-class life and himself, an ordinary person. He felt that with his identity as a student, this was the only thing he could do to repay Deng Xiaojiang. Just as he was about to start the car, there was a sudden squeak of brakes outside the window, followed by the loud roar of the sports car engine. His ears were almost numb. "You're so wicked. Does your family know? Believe it or not, I'll use my key ring to drive from the front door to the back door. What's so great about sports cars? When I have money, I'll buy two. I'll drive one and smash the other." Chen Guang turned his head. "Oh, an acquaintance. Forget it, I'll forgive you. I'm such a principled person." Jin Shiyue's head was leaning against the window of a Ferrari 488 that was so red that it looked like it was about to drip blood. Her pair of beautiful eyes were staring at Chen Guang. Further away, Jiang Yage was sitting in the driver's seat, proudly blinking at Chen Guang. What are these two people doing? Why does the old man have an ominous premonition? At this point, Chen Guang was also in despair. Obviously, Jiang Yage, this blind woman, didn't intend to take out money to express her gratitude. Perhaps Jiang Yage felt that their friendship was priceless, much more valuable than the 100,000 yuan reward. Unfortunately, Chen Guang thought in his heart, "Heroine, I don't need such a noble friend like you. The friendship of a celebrity can't be eaten. You should give me some money to be more practical." "Hey, brother Chen Guang, where are you going in such a hurry?" Jin Shiyue was too embarrassed to speak, but Jiang Yage gritted her teeth and spoke loudly. As she spoke, her body was still pressing towards Jin Shiyue. It was also a pity that Jin Shiyue didn't know how to drive. Otherwise, perhaps Jiang Yage would directly exchange seats with her. It only took Chen Guang less than a day to completely see through Jiang Yage. He was no longer as embarrassed and nervous as when they first met in the morning. He only felt that this must be a troublesome person. Her status as a celebrity might seem quite intimidating, but that's all there was to it. If it was not necessary, he really didn't want to have any contact with this person. Therefore, Chen Guang rolled his eyes and said, "Aren't I still in college? I have to go back to school to study and prepare for the CET4 exam in 2 weeks." He thought that this would make Jiang Yage back off, but he didn't expect this woman to reveal a face of ecstasy. Really? What a coincidence! I have long heard that the campus of Gokyo University is beautiful, like the gardens of Jiangnan. I have admired it for a long time and wanted to go take a look. Since brother Chen Guang is a student of Gokyo University, why don't you be a tour guide for me and sister Shiyue? Chen Guang was also a bag. Me be a tour guide for the two of you? Hee, I really haven't lived enough. If I'm seen through in school, I'm 100% sure that I'll be torn to pieces by your crazy fans. Besides, am I very familiar with you? You don't even give me money. Why would I risk my life to be a tour guide for you? I suddenly decided not to go back to school. The CET4 exam is nothing great. If I can't pass, then I can't pass. I plan to go to the newly built amusement park in the south of the city alone to make up for my incomplete and empty childhood. Chen Guang thought in his heart, I don't believe that if I say I want to go to a place with a sea of people like the amusement park, you two big stars who know everyone will still dare to follow me? Unexpectedly, Jiang Yage shook her head again and took out a full set of equipment from the back seat of the car. From a veil, to sunglasses, to a sun hat, to a wig, she really had everything. Her equipment was comparable to that of Agent 007. That's fine too. The amusement park is more interesting than walking around the university campus. Brother Chenguang, can you lead the way? Jiang Yage continued to pester. Jean Shuriwei, who was at the side, couldn't take it anymore and poked Jiang Yage's thigh with all her might, telling her to restrain herself and not to really annoy them. Chen Guang's attitude was already so obvious, he clearly didn't want to be with the two of them. Go on and celebrate. Chen Guang had always thought that the thickness of his skin was definitely at the level of a master. The old man had roamed the world for many years and had never been defeated. He relied on his thick skin and strong defense. Even if he was shuttling back and forth between swords and knives, relying on this incomparably thick skin, the old man could always turn misfortunes into blessings. Never would he have thought that today, the old man would actually meet such a tyrannical and terrifying opponent on the road of shamelessness. It's my loss. The old man admitted defeat. Yage, to tell you the truth, it's not that I'm deliberately being arrogant and unappreciative. I'm really grateful for the appreciation of the two of you. As a student, to be able to obtain the friendship of the two of you is something that I've always dreamed of. Chen Guang decided to lay his cards on the table. Chapter 95. Taking a deep breath, Chen Guang made up his mind and continued, I really don't have the courage to stroll on the streets with the two of you. I don't need to say it. You know how influential you are in the country. Out of 10 people on the streets, at least 3 or 4 people know the two of you, right? Jean Shuriwei and Jiang Yage looked at each other and nodded helplessly. Chen Guang was speaking the truth. Ever since they became famous, the two of them had to wrap themselves up tightly every time they went out on the streets, living like thieves. But they were still seen through from time to time, or paparazzi secretly took photos. It made the two of them miserable, but they couldn't do anything about it. Chen Guang continued, that's it. If I were to appear with the two of you, and if someone found out and took a photo and posted it on the internet, I'll give others the title of my right-hand man meeting his best friend. How can I live my life peacefully in the future? Last time, I had already turned into underwear Superman because of the two of you. But at least I managed to protect my face. I can't take it again. Jean Shuriwei and Jiang Yage also knew about the underwear Superman that Chen Guang mentioned. They even looked at the photo in private and felt their hearts turn red. Especially Jiang Yage. She even downloaded the photo to her phone. Seeing the two of them nod again, Chen Guang continued, since the two of you are celebrities, it's understandable for you to lose some of your privacy as celebrities. But I'm just an innocent student. Can you do me a favor and not drag me down with you? The enemy was too thick-skinned. Even if Chen Guang didn't want to say it so bluntly, he had no other choice. He felt that since he had said it to this extent, they probably wouldn't be friends in the future. Although he was mentally prepared, he still felt melancholy when he thought of this. What a good opportunity. If he could become friends with his right-hand man, even if he went back to his hometown and took a photo with him in front of his friends, it would be great to brag about it. Unfortunately, Jiang Yage was a poisonous person. He had to stay away from her. No. In the face of Chen Guang's tearful and earnest request, Jiang Yage's answer was straightforward and without the slightest hesitation. Chen Guang was dumbfounded. F***ck, heroine, why don't you play by the rules? It's so tiring to communicate with you. What the hell do you want? No matter what you say, I won't listen to you today. We're definitely following you today. Don't worry, Big Sister Shuriwei and I will be very, very, very careful. We will absolutely not expose our identities and harm you. Jiang Yage immediately put on a rascally look, a very playful smile on her face. I'll tell you something, you can make a decision after you hear it. Just now, I saw a photo on your phone. It was the armor you wore when you were filming. Chen Guang's heart skipped a beat. He began to panic. So what? Probably before you decided to come over, we saw the same photo on the other person's phone. It was exactly the same, there was no difference at all. It was Brother Hu's phone from the props team. There's an iris flower company in Wujing City. They said they had a set of armor they wanted to rent to the film crew, so they sent the photo to Brother Hu. Big Brother Chen Guang, I really feel very puzzled. Why is the same photo in your phone, as well as iris flower companies and Brother Hu's phones? Tell me, what's the connection between the two? With Jiang Yage's intelligence, how could she not guess the whole story? Her biggest reliance was this. Chen Guang's mouth was wide open as he stared blankly at this woman. He would never have thought that there would be such a coincidence. How you Kai? Brother how? You tricked me. Seeing that he was stunned, Jiang Yage continued, Big Brother Chen Guang, tell me, if your uncle knew that you almost sold his armor, how upset and disappointed would he be? Here it comes. I knew it would be like this. She really wanted to threaten the old man. This woman was really shameless. Despicable. Seeing that Chen Guang was so angry that his face was about to turn red, Jiang Yage stopped talking in time and winked at Jin Shiyue. She was hinting to Jin Shiyue to quickly come out and mediate the relationship between the two sides. Jin Shiyue glared at Jiang Yage and said to Chen Guang, don't listen to Solomon. She is just joking with you. I think there must be some misunderstanding in this matter. You are definitely not a person who can do that kind of thing. It is also because the two of us are really not familiar with Wujing City, so we thought of troubling you. I know that our request will indeed bring you some trouble, but you can rest assured that we will not let you be our tour guide for nothing. Chen Guang covered his face and thought to himself, I really thank you for thinking so highly of me. Unfortunately, the old man really wanted to sell this armor, but he was good at math and knew that 100,000 was more than 50,000. How shameful! Also, Jin Shiyue, if you really want to give me a reward, then you should be straightforward and give me a price. As long as it is 20,000 yuan, let alone 20,000 yuan. Even if I have to sacrifice my life and shed my blood, I will go crazy with you. But why are you always so hesitant and secretive? How am I supposed to trust you all? What if you want to sign a check later, and Jiang Yage jumps out and grabs it, saying irresponsible things like don't tarnish friendship with money? Who can I find to reason with? Well, now that things have come to this, you have forced me. The old man can only use his last trump card. Of the 36 stratagems, running away is the best plan. That's right. Adhering to the principle that a shameless person is invincible, Chen Guang planned to run away without saying a word. As for the photos on his phone, he would find a chance to delete them later. He would not admit it even if he was beaten to death. If you want to go to Big Beard Deng and accuse me, then go ahead. Dead men tell no tales anyway. Seeing that Chen Guang was deep in thought and silent, Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage were a little nervous. They did not know what he was thinking at the moment. Jiang Yage did not need to say much. Although Jin Shiyue did not want to admit it, she had the same thoughts as Jiang Yage. Brother Chen Guang, why are you still not willing to agree? What are you worried about? Jiang Yage felt that she was about to break down. She could not be blamed. Ever since they became famous, the two women on his left and right had actually lost the most common life experience for ordinary people, which was friends. The two of them really did not have the chance to be like ordinary people and make some real, innocent friends. The people around the two of them were either some stinky men with evil intentions, entrepreneurs who had something to ask of them, or people in the same industry like Big Beard Deng or Zhouya. On top of that, the two of them had unique family backgrounds, which further led to them not having any normal experience getting along with people. Jiang Yage had repeatedly made mistakes when it came to getting along with Chen Guang, causing Chen Guang to misunderstand her more and more. Chen Guang had already placed his hand on the car key. He was ready to take advantage of the two women's unpreparedness to start the engine and run away. He turned to look at Jiang Yage with a sincere expression. No, I'm not worried or afraid of anything. I just feel that I haven't lived long enough. After saying that, he really started the engine and was about to run away. We'll leave just like that. You leave, I leave, we'll all leave. Right at that moment. However, Jiang Yage pounced on Jin Shuiwei and pressed down on top of her. She stuck her head out of the passenger window and shouted at the top of her lungs, "Brother Chen Guang, don't go. But I like you. I really like you." Chen Guang was stunned and did not care about her. "Don't lie to me even though I'm not well educated. I almost believed you." Boom. He stepped on the accelerator and the old man left first. Chapter 96. Towards Jiang Yage's confession, Chen Guang only wanted to say 3 simple words, "Hee hee. I'm not a 3-year-old brat. How can I believe in a fairy tale like love at first sight? And the other party is you, Jiang Yage? Don't joke around, didn't Yang Shi already say it?" Jiang Yage and Jin Shuiwei are the rare acting masters among the young actors. Her every expression, every action, even if it looks sincere, it's definitely acting. As for Jin Shuiwei's personality, Chen Guang felt that he might not be able to see through it, but Jiang Yage is really too obvious. She's an immature woman who likes to play pranks, but has mastered a very abnormal acting skill, a terrifying woman. It's impossible for her to fall in love with me just because I saved her life. She's definitely just trying to tease me. First, she didn't give me any remuneration, then in front of so many people in the crew, she inexplicably declared her sovereignty over me, causing those little female stars who are beautiful enough to make old man drool to keep a respectful distance from me. She helped me get my phone, and she even used it to blackmail me. This woman is too unreliable, too sinister and vicious. I'm your savior, how can you try to hurt my fragile little heart time and time again? Humph, trying to trick me? No way. Misunderstanding is really a very scary thing. At least, Chen Guang already sees Jiang Yage as a snake, afraid that it's too late to avoid her. Seeing that Chen Guang's car has already sped away, Jin Shuiwei and Jin Shuiwei were dumbfounded. The two of them looked at each other, and it was still Jin Shuiwei who spoke first. "See, you scared him to this extent. What should we do now? We said that we should thank him, but in the end, we didn't even get to give him the money, and he ran away in fear." Jiang Yage sat down and quickly fastened her seatbelt. "Hey, Sister Shuiwei, why don't you be the judge? Was my confession not sincere enough? How did he scare me away? I can't accept a failed confession like this. This is a little different from what was written in the scripts of the TV dramas we acted in the past. Shouldn't he be so touched that he clutched his chest and had difficulty breathing? I really can't figure it out. I'm not convinced. Sister Shuiwei, fasten your seatbelt. You want to run? No way. I don't agree." While speaking, Jiang Yage suddenly stepped on the accelerator, and the red Ferrari 488 rushed out like a red lightning, chasing after Chen Guang. Just as the two of them started their Ferraris, Zhou Yun was driving her Volkswagen out of the parking lot. When she saw this scene, her legs immediately turned to jelly. "My 2 grandants, are you trying to kill this pitiful manager of yours? Oh my God." Zhou Yun felt like slitting her neck and hanging herself when she thought about how the news of 2 goddesses racing on the streets would be on the headlines of all the major newspapers, magazines, and online media the next morning. Forget it, things have already gotten out of control. I have to report this to the 2 young masters' families, or the consequences will be unimaginable. As for Chen Guang, he drove out of the film city briskly. His heart finally felt at ease. He finally escaped from the clutches of Jiang Yage. Wujing Film City was built in the eastern suburbs of Wujing City, about 20 kilometers away from the city. Coming out of the film city, the direct road to the city was the similarly newly built Dongxin Avenue. It was a 2-way 4-lane road with a pure asphalt surface. Currently, the traffic flow was still relatively low, and the speed limit was 80 kilometers per hour. It was a good road for driving. Want to kill me? Not so easy. Chen Guang whistled, holding the plate in one hand and the escaped from death, heavenly holy grail in the other. He took a sip of tea and was in a good mood. At this moment, he suddenly heard the loud roar of an engine behind him. He tilted his head, looked into the rearview mirror, and was so scared that he peed his pants. Director, can I say dirty words? Can't I? Then I have nothing to say. Is this woman Jiang Yage sick? Can you at least show some of the modesty of a star? Don't make life difficult for a small character like me, okay? I've already King driven away. Why are you still racing to chase me? At this moment, his cell phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. When he answered, it was actually Jin Shiyue's voice. Qinguang, I'm really sorry. She's stubborn. She said that she'll follow you wherever you drive today. I can't persuade her. By the way, there's a highway cafe at the intersection not far ahead. It's opened by our friend. It's very private, and we won't be disturbed or photographed. How about we drink coffee and chat in that cafe? Jin Shiyue's tone was full of helplessness. Chen Guang's face darkened. Follow wherever I drive? What a great shame. I'm the dignified 13th Wang of the Second Ring Road. I only need 13 minutes to run through the Wujing Second Ring Road. You actually dare to challenge me? Chen Guang was angry. Don't even think about following me. He slammed the accelerator, determined to get rid of Jiang Yage. As for the coffee that Jin Shiyue said, I'm really sorry, but there's only tea in my dictionary. A minute later, 13th Wang, Chen Guang's career as a racing god came crashing down. Director, I'm going to get my lunch. This woman is cheating. I'm a broken Hyundai Rena. How can I race with a Ferrari 488? I'll use my head. It's this Dongxin Avenue that everyone can run freely on. Even if I blast the Rena's engine until it's smoking, it can't be compared to someone who steps a little harder on the gas when they sneeze. At this time, Chen Guang felt like a non-cash player playing a web-based game. He was online for 20 hours a day. Even when he went to sleep, he set the alarm clock to rob the game. However, the other party was a big R who spent hundreds of thousands of yuan. No matter how hard he tried, he was still beaten to death by the other party. She's completely bullying me. My ride is a mixed donkey that's on the verge of death. Your ride is a flaming rabbit that steps on colorful auspicious clouds. There's no way for us to play happily. Jiang Yage was indeed very satisfied at this time. She drove the car leisurely next to Chen Guang. This woman even put down the hood of the car. From time to time, she would throw a smug wink at Chen Guang. Everything has its vanquisher. If Chen Guang behaved like those perverted men and tried to get close to her, she wouldn't be able to do anything to Chen Guang. Perhaps, Jiang Yage would really look down on Chen Guang and casually throw him 100,000 yuan to end their fate. But Chen Guang wasn't that kind of person at all. In Jiang Yage's eyes, he was so strong without desire, so special. Whether it was the strength he showed when he braced himself to act, the dazzling brilliance when he became the best actor, or the calmness and respectful distance when facing her and Jin Shiyue, the two big stars, it made the image of Chen Guang's brother become even bigger in Jiang Yage's heart. Well, in fact, Jiang Yage didn't know that the reason why Master Chen Guang was so unhappy with her was because she didn't give money. Could it be that I really have to go for afternoon tea with them? Can I think of a way to use words to force them to give me money to play with them? It seems a bit difficult. After all, the old man is a good young man with 3 values. He wouldn't do such a shameless thing. Then, Jiang Yage ruthlessly stabbed him. Sister Shiyue, don't talk nonsense. I'm not going to drink afternoon tea. It's too boring. I want to go to the amusement park with brother Chen Guang. Get lost. Chen Guang hung up the phone, tears streaming down his face. No, I can't get rid of her. Chen Guang took his hand to the cup holder. Now that it's come to this, I can only use plan B. Drink some water to calm my nerves and see if I can summon Shenron at the right time. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's this familiar feeling. Oh yeah, my cup world. It's coming. Chapter 97. When Chen Guang drank the water, he felt the familiar feeling of the world spinning. He was indeed about to be pulled into the world in the cup again. Wait, didn't I just use hypnosis today? Just now, Emperor of the Azure was about to go berserk. Didn't she say that the preparation for the world in the cup was not complete? Now it had shrunk even further. There was no reason for it to come so quickly. In addition, the old man was holding the steering wheel with one hand and drinking water from the cup with the other. Sister, I am the savior. I can do whatever I want. You are the god emperor. You have to have your own principles of being a god. Don't go overboard. With a flash, Chen Guang had once again appeared in the familiar sky above the sea of clouds. Not daring to be careless, Chen Guang was on full alert. The first thing he did was to get into a fighting stance. He carefully looked around and was ready to guard against Emperor of the Azure's sneak attack. This karma came too quickly. Chen Guang was very nervous. God knew what surprise that woman would prepare for him as a greeting gift. After waiting for a long time, the expected sneak attack did not appear. Chen Guang was puzzled. Did Emperor of the Azure change her personality? She suffered such a big loss in my hands just now. She didn't even use her fists to have a friendly conversation with me? Just a little bit unaccustomed to it? Damn it. Not good. I feel like she is going to beat me into AM. I have to go see a psychiatrist later. I feel like I can still be saved. Speaking of which, what was I doing just now? If this is really the world in the cup, what ability will it train me? Driving? That's right. The old man, 13th Wang of the second ring, was actually beaten by a cash player who relied on the performance of a Ferrari 488. The old man lost unjustly. Therefore, the world in the cup this time must be to train the old man's driving skills. That's right. I, 13th Wang of the second ring, am going to evolve into 13th Wang of the round city. 60 kilometers. I'm afraid I have to fly, right? Forget it. This is not important. Don't worry about the details. More importantly, as long as it was a skill that had been trained in the world in a cup, it would definitely be very good. Jiang Yage, just you wait. I'll let you be cocky for another 5 seconds. I'll let you know right away that in front of true godlike driving skills, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Koenigsegg, and Bugatti Veyron are all useless. Wah, the old man was on guard day and night, afraid that the cup world would appear at any time and cause me some trouble. Entering the world in a cup while taking a dump and becoming the king of anal prolapse was especially scary. But now, the driving skill was definitely useful. Come on. The heavenly holy grail. Come on. Colored glass female rogue. Come on. World in a cup. Lead me to the path of the strongest god of racing in history. I'm going to conquer MT Akina. Need for Speed, Fast and Furious, Ridge Racing, they're all trash. Brother, I want to become the best racing god in real life. Strange, why hasn't this woman moved yet? I let my guard down because of my imagination. She should have taken action long ago. Hey, really? What are you doing? Is this world in a cup ready or not? Chen Guang yelled at the top of his lungs. If the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. If the enemy doesn't move, I'll move. If you don't appear, I'll take advantage of you. Let's see how long you can hold it in. Chen Guang. You bastard. Finally, the familiar voice of Emperor of the Azure appeared not far in front of him. Chen Guang followed the voice and took a few steps forward. The next second he almost spat out his laughter. My Emperor Lioli, what's wrong with you? Is it very popular among the gods in the endless god realm to plant themselves in the soil for no reason? Is it like planting a god in the spring and harvesting a nest of gods in the autumn? It turned out that Emperor of the Azure's entire body was buried in the sea of clouds. Only her head was exposed. She was planted in the soil. Chen Guang walked forward proudly. Although he didn't know what happened to her, she seemed to be in a bad situation. As her savior, what should I do when my god emperor is in trouble? Of course, I'll take the opportunity to finish her off. While she's sick, I'll take her life. If I let go of such a rare opportunity, I won't be the good young man of the new generation, Chen Guang. Chen Guang, don't come over. I have good news and bad news for you. If you dare to do anything to me, I'll only tell you the bad news. Emperor of the Azure panicked. This is all because of you. In order to hypnotize you and make you a best actor, I'll give it my all. Now that the lustrous feather raiment is gone, If I don't bury myself in the sea of clouds and hide my body, won't I explode all 3 points? The heaven-defying river crab mythological beast will take your life. Qin Guang grinned. Oh my, I'm so touched that my eyes are brimming with tears. Thank you for your kind intentions. Thinking about it carefully, this god emperor was really pitiful. She followed her savior and changed from a flying goddess to a bikini. Now, she even degenerated into a human tree. Other people's golden fingers grew stronger and stronger with the protagonist, becoming more and more cool and heaven-defying. But this golden finger of his was getting worse and worse. Now, even her clothes were taken off. Anyone who saw it would be sad. Wait, speaking of which, the world in the cup will shrink like Lioli's clothes? The old man began to panic. Alright, say it. I won't come over. Chen Guang nodded. Look at my eyes. How sincere. If I say I won't come over, I won't come over. Lioli glared at him. Let me tell you. Don't think that I'm hiding my body because I'm afraid you'll take advantage of me. It's for your own good. I'm afraid you'll court death. On the surface, this empress's lustrous feather raiment may look like a cover for me, but it's actually to protect a mortal's fragile divine soul. Back then, this empress only revealed a little of my god emperor's true body, and your mind almost collapsed. Without the cover of the lustrous feather raiment, if you accidentally saw this empress's true body, the consequences would be unimaginable. I'm not bragging. In the endless god realm, all existences below the god-king level will be killed by this empress's true body, never to be reincarnated. Qin Guang's heart trembled. He believed her words. Alright. Don't waste your breath. Don't worry. I really won't come over. I'll just sit here and listen to you. I won't foolishly court death. Hurry up and tell me the good news and the bad news first. Lioli was really afraid that he would be so lustful to come over and lift the sea of clouds to take a look. Seeing that he believed her, she was relieved. Of course, she talked so much nonsense just to buy time. After a while, the realm within the cup would almost take the initiative to pull Qin Guang in. The good news is that because the realm within the cup has shrunk further, the amount of work needed to prepare the realm within the cup has been reduced again. So this time, you've indeed taken advantage of it and summoned the realm within the cup in advance. Emperor of the Azure said heavily. Qin Guang's eyelids twitched. Then the bad news is that the situation of the shrinking is very serious? Emperor of the Azure looked at Qin Guang darkly. That's right. Very serious. It's beyond your imagination. Even if you don't die this time, you'll still lose a layer of skin. Anyway, this empress just added a few things in. It can barely save your life. As for the rest, I don't care. Congratulations, you've successfully become the king of courting death in the endless god realm's long history of billions and billions of years. You're really capable. Chapter 98. Emperor of the Azure only felt that it was a pity. She originally planned to give this grandson a good beating, but she didn't expect the world in cup to come so fast that she was caught off guard. How long had it been since she used her hypnosis technique? And the lustrous feather robe couldn't even condense a piece of cloth the size of a fingernail. It was really shameful. As for what she said earlier about how Qin Guang couldn't look at the god emperor's real body, well, she was afraid of being hurt by her own eyes, so she deliberately talked nonsense to fool Qin Guang. In short, she couldn't beat him up today, but the power of the world in cup would definitely be able to teach this reckless brat a profound lesson. This emperor must let him know why the flowers are so red. All right, you've told me the good and bad news, right? There's nothing else, right? I should be waiting to enter the world in cup now, right? Qin Guang slowly stood up, his eyes flashing with a dangerous light. Lioli's heart thumped. It's thick. Such a dangerous look. This guy is courting death. Sure enough, Qin Guang smiled and took 2 more steps back. Then he took off his shoes. It was a pity that he didn't bring steel beads with him, or else glass beads would have been good. Forget it, anyway these 2 pairs of shoes should be enough. You better be more like it. Emperor of the Azure had already guessed Qin Guang's plan, and her face flushed red with anger. She only hated that she couldn't rush up and beat him to death. Chen Guang's mouth crooked. Oh yo, you're angry? But even if you burst your lungs and shout until your throat breaks, in this world in cup, there's no one who can help you. As soon as his voice fell, Chen Guang had already thrown out his shoes, swaying as it flew towards Emperor of the Azure's head. Emperor of the Azure finally raised her jade arm that was hidden in the sea of clouds, blocking Chen Guang's flying shoes. Oh, you have a way. But you're not good enough. Take my shoe god's kill number 2. Chen Guang was extremely cocky and threw out the second shoe at lightning speed. It was when Emperor of the Azure had just blocked the first shoe and hadn't had the time to withdraw her hand. In martial arts, this was called old strength used up, but new strength was not born. When Liuli wanted to take out a second hand, she was already a step too late, and the sole of the shoe hit her forehead. Exploded, completely exploded. Chen Guang felt indescribably refreshed when he saw that she had slapped his face. Although this woman had helped him a lot, he couldn't live with his conscience if he didn't do something when he thought about how he would be tortured by her every time he entered the intermediate realm. This was already the 3rd time today. Even if he knew that he was playing with fire, he couldn't stop his burning heart from seeking death. Emperor of the Azure glared at Chen Guang. She grabbed his shoes with both hands and wiped the dust off her face. She wanted to throw the shoes back, but she suddenly had an idea and didn't do so. She just looked at him fiercely. I'll let you be happy for a few more seconds. You'll soon know how stupid it was to throw a shoe at me. Looking at her expression, it seemed that she had him in the bag. Chen Guang's heart skipped a beat. Something's wrong. I seem to have forgotten something important. *CK. Since this is a cup to train my driving skills, if I don't have shoes, won't I be stepping on the brake and accelerator barefoot? Something big happened. Sister Liuli, can we talk nicely? Chen Guang immediately put on a flattering smile and looked in Liuli's direction. Why don't you come and try? I can crush you into bone dregs with one hand. Lu Li said with a fake smile. Chen Guang didn't dare to go over. He really didn't dare. Liuli knew that he didn't have the guts to come up and court death. She simply closed her eyes and put Chen Guang out of sight and out of mind. Her heart was also desolate. How blind was I to be able to pick so many people and finally choose this cheater? This must be the stupidest and most wrong decision I've ever made in my long life. On the other side, Chen Guang saw that he couldn't get his shoes back. He had no choice but to bite the bullet and wait for the cup to be completely activated. Then he dragged his head in. Wandering in the colorful time-space channel, Chen Guang carried out a deep thought about the future and finally came to a conclusion. He was a little flustered. He broke through the wall of the channel. The next moment, Chen Guang was shocked. He learned something new. So the cup can be played like this? For a moment, Chen Guang burst into tears. My imagination is still not rich enough. He was really ashamed. The old man really didn't expect that there was something below the realm of the health pod. It was called the custom-made, transformable health pod. It turned out that the cup could be so advanced that it even had a transformation function. How considerate and modern. Forget it. At least it's not a shrinking coffin that can only hold half a body, and it's not an urn. Thinking about it this way, it's not completely unacceptable with my current behavior. At this time, Chen Guang was almost sitting like a driver. The space he was in could be said to be a car. Well, it was not a complete car. In a rough description, he was sitting in the driver's seat of an Alto, happily eating hot pot while driving. Then, an incomparably sharp giant knife fell from the sky and cut right in the middle of the Alto. Thus, this unlucky old Alto was cut in half from the middle. The knife was taken away, and the back half of the Alto was swallowed by an unknown void beast. Only Chen Guang, who was sitting in the driver's seat, was left with half of his car. There was no one else who could cut corners like this. Well, Chen Guang couldn't open the door. He didn't know if there was really a car outside. Anyway, he couldn't get out. He guessed that the body of the Alto was equivalent to the edge of the cup. Behind him was a void. Yes, it was the colorful splendor in the space channel. Based on the relationship between Schrödinger and his cat, Let's pretend that there really were two wheels on the ground outside. Maybe there really was an engine or some other power assembly under what looked like an engine cover. Who knows? Anyway, this car can actually be ignited. Your half-built car can even be ignited. Perhaps, the meaning of the cup was to let me use this half of the car to practice invincible driving skills? Once I accepted the strange setting of the two front wheels being able to run, the experience of the cup this time wasn't that bad. But why is my car a little strange? No matter how I look at it, I feel like I'm in an 8-bit racing game I played when I was a child. The trees and the road outside, why do they all look like pixel mosaics? Wait, my front windshield, my gear lever, my accelerator, brake and clutch pedals, and that completely pixel version of the dashboard in the middle, what's going on? Oh right, my driver's seat and rearview mirror, and my poor passenger seat, they're all pixelated versions. Is there a car CD? Chen Guang decided to give it a try, and then he broke down. This familiar music reminded him of his broken childhood. F***ck, it really is the soundtrack of an 8-bit game. But this wasn't what made him break down the most. He finally understood why Lu Li said that the cup this time would be worse than the mosaic nutrition pod. He saw his own pixelated fingers. What kind of a scam was this? I've become AF** King Mosaic. What else in this world could be worse than becoming a mosaic? Chapter 99. Today, Chen Guang had a whole new understanding of the shrinking ability of the world in a cup. I've crossed mountains and seas, and I've also passed through mountains and seas of people. Everything I once had has become a mosaic in the blink of an eye. Such an encounter reminded Chen Guang of a game he had played a long time ago. It was called My World. Yup, it was a game where pixelated people would seek death in a pixelated world. It was very interesting. At that time, Chen Guang had even gone to a video website called Bilibili to learn the correct way to start the game. He had also spent 700 to 800 hours criticizing this kind of low-quality game. But when it really happened to him, he just wanted to yell out in a serious tone, "This is not interesting at all. See, this is the result of your own actions, you little death-seeking expert. If you didn't force me to help you twice, you would have a beautiful lakeside villa this time. Now that the situation is like this, don't blame the heavens and others, just accept your fate. You have to know that the Holy Grail had originally prepared a set of armor for you. It was the kind that would allow you to maintain the driving position forever, but you would not be able to move up, down, left, or right. Although it looked exquisite, it was not as spacious as a coffin. I spent a lot of effort to dilute the energy of the world in a cup this time, but I barely managed to create half a car for you. As for the image quality, just bear with it and it will be over." Azure's voice sounded. Chen Guang wiped away the mosaic tears. "I really have to thank you for saving my life." He roughly imagined the situation that Azure had described and only felt his hair stand on end. If that was really the case, he was dead for sure. This was definitely 10,000 times scarier than being confined in the army. Although it was very bad now, at least he could move his hands and feet a little. Let me tell you the requirements of this test. Just as you guessed, this is a world that is very similar to the racing games you have played before. Your task is very simple. Drive this broken little car and overcome all the obstacles. As long as you can successfully pass the 9th stage before the car crashes and you die 100 times, you will have completed the test. Chen Guang laughed as he replied, "That's simple. For 13th Wang of the second ring, was this not like playing house? I'm good at games too." Seeing that he was still acting recklessly, Lu Li hurriedly reminded him, "Don't be in such a hurry to be complacent, you'd better be more serious. If you fail, you will really die. I can't save you either. Similar to the transient sea, you can revive with full health after dying 99 times, but you will really die the last time. I'm not joking with you." The previous Dota test was just continuous training. Even though it was a little hard, tiring, and insane, there was no risk of dying. The driving test this time had returned to the style of the instantaneous sea. If you lost, you would die. Chen Guang's expression became serious as he nodded heavily. "Don't worry. I'm born with a feeling for driving. I won't go overboard. After all, it's 100 revival chances. It's the same as the instantaneous see, I know it. Seeing that he had become serious, Lu Li's heart relaxed slightly. She didn't say anything more. Okay then, you're on your own. Good luck. The first test was to reach the first speed test point in front of them within 5 minutes and maintain a speed of no less than 120 kilometers per hour when passing through the speed test point. No problem. Chen Guang's pixel face smiled confidently. He extended his pixel legs forward, pressed down on the pixel clutch, put on the pixel gear lever, and roared on the accelerator. The pixel car began to move. Seeing the pixel road in front of him continuously recede, there was no need to mention how good it felt. On the other hand, Chen Guang was leisurely. He was even in the mood to examine the trees by the side of the road. He found that these trees looked very similar to the tea leaves he had soaked in. He couldn't help but think to himself, if one day I changed my cup to coffee, what would it be like? When he thought of the color of the coffee, it would be slightly scary if he was trapped by the yellow lake. It was at this moment that the car shook violently. At the same time, another pixel car sped past his car. The window of that car was rolled down, and the pixel person in the driver's seat seemed to be looking at Chen Guang with disdain. As for Chen Guang, after the car was hit, he completely flipped over after losing control of it. *CK. It turns out that there's an opponent in this cup world who's playing dirty tricks. Fortunately, I won't die from this degree of flipping over, right? Chen Guang tried to open the car door and think of a way to straighten the car, but he heard the dull and ear-piercing roar of a loudspeaker. He turned his head to look and saw a pixel car that was at least 10 times the size of an Alto speeding along the road. Don't think about getting lucky. The real cup world is only as big as your car. What you see outside is equivalent to the image in the game. Do you think you can get out of your car when you play a racing game? You can't open the door. Lu Li's voice rang out at the wrong time, strangling Chen Guang's last hope. *CK. Flipping over is equivalent to death. Chen Guang burst into tears. The old man died such an unjust death. The pixel car whizzed past, and the main character fell from the three-dimensional world to the two-dimensional world. Simply put, he was flattened. This experience reminded Chen Guang of the almost forgotten Sea of Time. At that time, he also got stabbed when he popped out. *CK, this racing god world isn't any better. It's poisonous. The test of the cup world had always been full of malice. The first time a car crash and a person's death came so violently. The scene flashed, and Chen Guang returned to the starting point. All the bones in his body were in so much pain that they were about to fall apart. He couldn't accept it. The old man had become a pixel person, so why was the pain still so real? No, if he was really flattened by a heavy truck, he would have been sent to heaven in an instant. There was no reason for it to be so painful. Could it be that I added something to this cup world? As he expected, Lu Li showed up again. Right, I forgot to tell you that I feel that your willpower is still rather weak. Therefore, in order to improve your willpower, I probably increased the normal pain in the intermediate realm a little bit, just to improve your willpower. Wasn't it very considerate of me to do that? Lu Li was a bit surprised. You're right. How much is a little? 100%. Get lost. Chen Guang felt that the decision to throw the shoe at this woman before coming in was too wise. If he had known that she was so deceptive, he would have taken off his underwear and covered her head, letting her have a taste of that sour feeling. Well, no matter how deceptive it was, he had dripped his blood on this deceptive artifact that had recognized him as its master. He had to finish this test with tears in his eyes. Gritting his teeth, Chen Guang stepped on the accelerator again. Let's go. The old man was the man who wanted to become the strongest racing god. How could he fall at the first test? Chen Guang didn't expect that this was the beginning of his nightmare. Chapter 100. After a total of 13 failures, he finally completed the first test. It sounded simple, but his car was actually just a poor little Alto. Which normal person would drive this broken car at 120 kilometers per hour? The steering wheel would start flying at 100 kilometers per hour, and 120 kilometers per hour was even better. Moreover, who knew if there would be any accidents when passing the speed test point? To maintain this speed steadily, he would have to accelerate to at least 130 kilometers per hour. Fortunately, Chen Guang was not a normal person. He was the king of death in the long history of the endless celestial realm. People called him the super driver. Time and time again he lost control of the car and ran off the road. Sometimes he had already sped up to 130 kilometers per hour, only to be scratched or sent flying by a faster little b*th. The worst time was when the speed test point was right in front of him, but a heavy truck that had sped to 180 kilometers per hour caught up to him and ran over him. In the end, he failed on the verge of success. Your big truck really knows how to play. It can go 180 kilometers per hour. When I have money, I will definitely buy an Alto. I will modify it so much that it can't even beat a Bugatti Veyron. In any case, after going through all kinds of difficulties and dying 13 times, he finally passed the first test. After passing the test, he suddenly realized, oh, there are strengthening points? The second test seemed simple. Maintain a speed of 180 kilometers per hour for 20 seconds and survive. Chen Guang's face darkened. This broken Alto's top speed couldn't even reach 180 kilometers per hour, okay? Wait, strengthening points? The old man understood. Fine, what control index, what car stability, what acceleration performance, all of that can be put aside for now. Focus on top speed. The old man was a godly person who wanted to accelerate the Alto to 180 kilometers per hour. It was just that the mission description seemed to be confusing. And survive seemed to have a deeper meaning behind it. Chen Guang really did not want to imagine how the Alto could float at 180 kilometers per hour. With a slight twist of the steering wheel, it could almost fly into the sky. As expected of the champion of the fancy-style death-seeking competition. Even though he was in such a terrible condition, he still managed to survive. How could an ordinary person become a top racer in the shortest amount of time? Apart from having an outstanding master guiding them, the most important factor was that they were not afraid of death. Daring to think, daring to do. Although the graphics quality of Pixel Racing God World was moving and the sound effects were terrible, the core function of driving was achieved to perfection. It looked like a game, but the actual driving feeling was no different from driving in real life. Other than that, the 9 stages that the realm in the cup had set for him were also very specific, and the difficulty was also increased step by step. He was tested from a different angle, forcing him to challenge his limits again and again in an Alto that had poor control. Before dying more than 90 times, Chen Guang was undoubtedly very courageous and capable. No matter how uncomfortable it felt to die each time, he knew that it was just an illusion. Anyway, he would soon be back to full health. It was just that the feeling of stepping on the clutch, brake, and accelerator with his bare feet was a little painful. The skin on the soles of his feet would break after a few steps. At this time, he was secretly glad that he was a pixel person, so he did not have to see such an ugly and bloody scene. Finally, when he drove the small, broken Alto that had all kinds of enhancements and competed with pixel people whose performance was equivalent to that of a professional team, he finished the last stage of the Dakar Rally and successfully won the championship. He won. He finally became the person on Earth who was the best at driving an Alto. At this time, he had died exactly 95 times. It was easy to say, but he had died 95 times in a state of doubled pain. What did it feel like to die when the car was destroyed? How could it feel good? It was either being flattened or being knocked away. No matter which time it was so painful that it felt like dying and coming back to life. It was a feeling that he could not bear to recall. When Emperor of the Azure said that the doubled pain was to improve his willpower, Chen Guang expressed that he did not feel any improvement in his willpower. This only made the old man more and more afraid of death. Forget it. No matter how painful and difficult it was finally over. Chen Guang let out a long sigh of relief. He was free. He was a little drunk. As he poked his head out of the space-time tunnel, he thought to himself, Why the hell do I have such a fate with the number 95? Am I born to be a 95? You are indeed the savior that I have chosen. You can even drive such a small, broken car perfectly. Needless to say, your own car is even better. What a brave young man. It's time to go out and show your amazing skills. As soon as Chen Guang poked his head out, he smelled a familiar sour smell. Then a pair of shoes hit his eyes. F***CK. You plotted against me. Chen Guang screamed. His eyes were blocked by the shoes, so he did not see anything and was kicked out of the cup by Lioli. I don't know how long I stayed in there this time. I'm driving outside. I don't want to go down the slope the moment I get out. The scene in front of him flashed, and Chen Guang was sitting in the car again. He stared ahead and saw his car rushing straight to the side of the road along a diagonal line. The cup was still in his hand. Chen Guang was so shocked that he threw the cup to the side. He tapped on the brakes with the tip of his foot while fine-tuning the steering wheel. The old driver, Chen Guang, had rich experience in dealing with losing control of a car. The more critical the moment, the more he could not slam on the brakes. Otherwise, the car that could be controlled would completely lose control and skid due to the sudden brake failure, which would lead to more serious consequences. Of course, the degree of turning the steering wheel also required very precise control. If it was too much, the car would also skid. If it was too little, the direction would not be able to turn, and he would still crash into the side of the road. As a driver, in the face of danger, he had to make the most correct choice in the shortest time possible and put it into practice. He also had to use his hands, feet, eyes, and ears perfectly. The range of his movements was neither too big nor too small, and the degree of control was just right. Only then would he be able to turn the danger into a blessing. If it was the Chen Guang of the past, he would most likely be sent to the big repair shop with his car when he encountered such a situation. But today, he was the man who was the best at driving an Alto on Earth. He could even drive an Alto that could go up to 300 kilometers per hour, so a mere modern Rena that could go up to 80 kilometers per hour was nothing. After losing control for a short while, his car drew a beautiful arc on the side of the road, and he was pulled back to the main road by a hair's breadth. He continued to speed along the main road. Chen Guang was more scared than hurt, but Jin Yu and Jiang Yu, who were following closely behind him, were scared out of their wits. They thought that he was so angry that he went crazy. Seeing that he had finally returned to normal with great difficulty, the two women felt relieved. Jin Shirue said nervously, "Yage, it seems that he really doesn't want to accompany us today. I also think that you're a little too impatient. Why don't we just forget about it today? Why don't we find another opportunity to talk to him about it?" Jiang Yage thought for a few seconds, but shook her head. "Sister Shirue, I understand what you're saying. But look at how busy we are with work, flying around in the sky all day long. How can we have time to talk to him face to face? If we miss this opportunity today, we won't be able to resolve the misunderstanding. I think he will definitely see the two of us as scourges and fierce beasts in the future, and we won't even have time to hide from him." Jin Shirue didn't say anything else. She knew that what Jiang Yage said was the truth. She only sighed in her heart and didn't know what exactly she was regretting. Chapter 101. On the other side, Chen Guang had already felt his powerful driving skills after training in the world in a cup. He was very proud of himself. So the problem was, although he was driving a Rena that was much better than an Alto, there were no strengthening points in the real world to modify the Rena. Behind him was a Ferrari that only took 3 or 4 seconds to accelerate 100 kilometers. On this unimpeded Dongxin Avenue, even if he was the best racing god in history, it would be a waste. However, he was not in a hurry. After running online rental in Wujing for more than half a year, Chen Guang knew the roads around the city like the back of his hand. If he remembered correctly, about 30 kilometers east of Wujing Film City, there was the Fengquan Mountain racetrack, known as the Wujing Racing Paradise. Regardless of whether outsiders knew about it or not, at least in the eyes of the local racers in Wujing, the status of the Fengquan Mountain racetrack was almost equivalent to the Qiuming Mountain racetrack in Initial D. It was a holy land. It was unknown who was so rich and stupid to build such a meaningless two-way lane. In short, it wound all the way up Fengquan Mountain and then spiraled down. There were many sharp bends. At most, there would be a U-shaped bend every few hundred meters. There were also so many S-shaped bends that it was impossible to count. In the eyes of a pragmatist like Chen Guang, this 20-kilometer-long Fengquan Mountain racetrack was simply a big toy for some rich people. Of course, on second thought, some people bought a Bugatti Veyron for more than 20 million yuan. In order to find a suitable place for this toy to run, and then find some like-minded people to auction off some money to build a racetrack, it was not so unacceptable. We are just losers. We don't understand how stupid the world is for money. Chen Guang had also been to that place, but of course he was not there to race. It was just that in the middle of the night he was unlucky enough to drag a passenger who was going to the Fengquan Mountain racetrack to be a racing girl. At that time, he was just passing by, and he was beaten up by a group of crazy people who were racing. After all, the most inferior cars in that place were at the level of BMW Z4. Chen Guang's broken Reno was too eye-catching. What infuriated him the most was that there was a grandson who drove an Audi R8 and circled around him for a whole minute. The pungent smell of burnt tires and the roar of the engine in his ears almost disgusted him to death. After that unpleasant experience, Chen Guang was no longer willing to take people to the Fengquan Mountain racetrack. But I'm different from the past. Even if I'm driving a little rundown Rena, it can't hide my temperament as the god of racing. On normal roads, there was a speed limit. Good citizen Chen Guang didn't want to break the law by speeding, and the car's performance was excellent. It was impossible for him to get rid of Jiang Yage's Ferrari 488. That's right, Chen Guang intended to bring Jiang Yage, this reckless woman, to the Phoenix Spring Mountain. As long as they reached that place, Chen Guang believed that with his godlike driving skills, he would only need 2 corners to make Jiang Yage retreat. As long as he reached that place, Chen Guang believed that with his godly driving skills, he would only need 2 turns to make Jiang Yage retreat. Hey! Why did he suddenly make a turn? Seeing him suddenly turn his head and no longer go to downtown Wujing, Jiang Yage exclaimed. Jin Shiriyue thought for a moment. Maybe he changed his mind and plans to take us to a small scenic spot nearby. After all, the people in the scenic spot are not so dense, and the possibility of us being recognized is lower. Jiang Yage nodded. Brother Chen Guang is so considerate. About 10 minutes later, the 2 women were even more certain of Chen Guang's plan. He was indeed going to Fengquan Mountain, a famous scenic spot in Wujing. The 2 thought that Chen Guang would stop at the gate of the Fengquan Mountain scenic spot, but they didn't expect him to make another turn and drive around the gate of the scenic spot to go deeper. Jin Shiriyue was a little uneasy at this time. After all, their identities were special, and they were conspicuous targets. She was going to persuade Jiang Yage to give up and stop forcing Chen Guang, but she received a call from her agent, Zhou Yun. Her original intention was to persuade the 2 of them to go back, but it made Jin Shiriyue change her mind. My Miss Jin, please let me save my energy. I know it's my fault. I should have thought of another way to give him the check. Let's not chase him today, okay? Later, I will definitely find a chance to pay him a visit and thank him. Then I will invite him to meet the 2 of you. Come back. I'm following behind with 3 cars of people. Your families already know about this, so how would I dare to let you 2 race? Zhou Yun said. Jin Shiriyue secretly laughed. Since Zhou Yun was following behind with 3 cars of people, it didn't matter as long as the sky didn't fall. Don't be fooled by her dignified and generous appearance. Sometimes she had a little temper. Chen Guang moved forward and went straight to the Fengquan Mountain racetrack. He calculated the time. It was only afternoon, and the active time of that group of non-mainstream punks was at least after 9 o'clock in the evening. There should be no one there now, right? After making up his mind, he passed the last speed camera in front of Fengquan Mountain. Chen Guang stepped hard on the accelerator. No one hit me. I'm going to take off. Chen Guang's sudden acceleration caught Jiang Yage off guard, and she quickly sped up to keep up. As they got closer to the Fengquan Mountain racetrack, the road gradually became narrower. It changed from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, and there were more curves along the way. Chen Guang licked his lips. If he remembered correctly, he would reach the gathering place of those late-night racing gangs in about 4 or 5 minutes. It was a large open-air parking lot. The last time he was humiliated by someone, it was also in that parking lot. This man, no matter how honest he said he was, in fact, he had a heart that pursued speed and passion deep in his heart. However, racing was dangerous and never worth advocating. Without the ability and a suitable track, it was not easy to try it, so as to avoid harming others and oneself. Chen Guang was also a model good citizen. Even if he violated the rules when he was online, his heart would ache for a few days. He was even more isolated from racing. Unfortunately, he was in a special situation today. First, there was a shameful pay-to-win player following behind him, who forcefully rode on his face with a Ferrari 488 to humiliate him, a 2-ringed 13th Wang. Second, he had just driven the magically modified Alto in the Racing Gods Cup for a long time. His blood was still burning, and his heart was ready to move. He couldn't stop. My fighting spirit is so high that it's about to explode. If I don't do something and release some passion, I'm afraid I'll be so excited that I'll spontaneously combust. Chapter 102. The Racing Gods Cup didn't last long. Even the 9 stages added up to less than 2 months. Driving wasn't as boring as playing games in front of the computer. Chen Guang was a pixelated person who didn't feel tired or sleepy. His mind was also sealed by the world in a cup, so he didn't feel tired at all. Especially the last Dakar rally track. The ups and downs on the road, the emergency situation that could happen at any time, and the scene could change in an instant. Needless to say, it was exciting. Every second brought a sense of excitement. Of course, the normal Dakar rally track had a break. Although Chen Guang didn't feel tired, he would feel annoyed after driving for a long time. He could stop the car. Although there was nothing else to do, listening to the 8-bit game accompaniment in the car was a way to pass the time and improve his mood. Once he accepted this setting, it seemed that the accompaniment of the 8-bit game also became pleasant to listen to. Therefore, the Racing Gods Cup this time didn't make Chen Guang nauseous like the hellish Dota training last time. Other than the calluses on his bare feet getting thicker and thicker, and the pain of dying from time to time, it was a rather enjoyable experience. It only allowed him to race to his heart's content and feel extremely comfortable. However, just as his skills reached their peak, he left again. At this time, Chen Guang was full of fighting spirit and longed for more. No matter how he drove the modified Alto in the world in a cup, it couldn't compare to the real thing outside. His adrenaline was out of control. Chen Guang only felt that the old man's axe was thirsty and thirsty, as if it wanted to drink blood. At this time, Chen Guang was uncharacteristically looking forward to it. He hoped that the unlucky Audi R8 was there. If there really was such a coincidence, he would redeem himself today and show them what a real racing god was. He would make them tremble at the sight of arena car for the rest of their lives. It was because of his abnormal excitement that he had thoughtlessly brought Jin Jiang and Jin Rui to this place. Under normal circumstances, with his personality, he wouldn't do something that would bring trouble to others. He would rather be in trouble himself than really hope that something would happen to Jin Jiang and the others because of him. With a rather complicated mood, Chen Guang finally arrived at the parking lot. As soon as he arrived, his eyes drifted inside and immediately lit up. That's right. There were only a few cars parked sparsely in the empty parking lot, leaning against each other. A few young men and girls were gathered around the cars, chatting about something. It looked quite lively. Among these cars, there was the blue Audi R8 that Chen Guang couldn't forget. That's right. It was this grandson. Even if he was burned to ashes, Chen Guang would still remember. Well, if he was really burned to ashes, there was no need to remember him? In any case, this was not important. More importantly, the petty and vengeful Master Chen Guang felt that the opportunity for the old man to take revenge had come. Since he was going to race, he might as well take the opportunity to let this grandson have a taste of the dust. As soon as he thought of it, Chen Guang turned the car around and walked across the parking lot leisurely towards the place where the youngsters were gathered. Before Chen Guang could get close, Jiang Yage's red Ferrari had also arrived. However, she hesitated for a while and didn't continue to follow Chen Guang. There were quite a number of outsiders over there, and they looked like rich kids. Jiang Yage didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble. She knew that with her and Jin Shiyue's reputation, if the rich kids saw them outside, it would cause a lot of unnecessary waves. In her eyes, only Chen Guang was on her side. So, she chose to stop and watch from afar, not knowing what Chen Guang was planning. On the other side, the few people also noticed the small broken car of unknown origin. They stood up and watched from afar, not knowing what this daring guy wanted to do. In Wujing City, who didn't know the industry didn't know whose territory this Fengquan mountain belonged to. How did he dare to drive here so boldly? Just take the cars here today for example. If one of the wheels was pulled off, it would be enough to exchange for his whole car. Without a price tag of more than 600,000 yuan, wasn't coming to this place just asking to be humiliated? These young people who liked to race cars, and their families were not short of money, would inevitably develop an arrogant temperament. It might not be so easy to show it in front of people of the same status, but in front of a stinky loser who drove a small broken car of 70,000 yuan, the innate sense of superiority in their mentality was highlighted. Moreover, the matter of racing cars, after all, had to be avoided from the common people. Injuring oneself was one thing, but killing a few common people was bound to cause a sensation. So, this group of people from Wujing City gathered together to build this track in Fengquan Mountain. They had always regarded the Longquan Mountain race track as their own private paradise. This was a private paradise that they had painstakingly built. Although the outside was not prohibited from passing, they had never welcomed outsiders to enter. So, the last time Chen Guang unknowingly brought a guest into this place, he was severely humiliated by the guy driving the R8. He said that the guy was arrogant, but in fact, this was also a way for them to drive away outsiders. Damn. When this bastard stops, I'll go and smash him. A sharp-haired guy in a punk vest said with gritted teeth. He was the owner of the blue R8. Xiao Zhong, I happen to have a card here. It's the pocket money my father gave me yesterday. 80,000 yuan. It's just enough to buy him Rena. Take it. On the side, another young man flew out a card from his wallet. Xiao Zhong didn't stand on ceremony with him. He took the card and grinned. Look at you. His car is at least 5 or 6 years old, and you still give him 80,000 yuan? Why don't you give him a 50% discount? That person spread his hands. Of course, you have to make it look imposing when you smash a car. You're not letting us down by bargaining over such a small amount of money. Xiao Zhong chuckled. That's true. Just as these people were chatting, Chen Guang's Reno was getting closer and closer. Xiao Zhong and the rest had a dangerous look on their faces. They were waiting for Chen Guang to stop so that they could swarm him. What was strange was that as the Rena got closer, it didn't seem to slow down at all. Chen Guang had many ideas in his mind. How could he provoke these people into racing with him without getting into a direct confrontation? After all, he was just a commoner, and the people here were all second-generation rich kids. His license plate number was still there. If he really offended them, he might end up in trouble later. If he got out of the car and used words to provoke them, it was hard to guarantee that things wouldn't get out of control. Now that he had hit a few of them accidentally, things would become difficult to resolve. Therefore, the simplest way was to not get out of the car and show them what he was capable of. Don't you guys like racing? Don't you guys think that racing is cool and cool? I'm not going to compete with you in terms of wealth. I'm going to use my driving skills to blind your dog eyes. Let's see how you're going to compete with me in the future. I'll treat it as my repayment for drifting around me with the R8 the other day. Chen Guang's plan was well thought out. He did not directly provoke them, but he showed them his driving skills in front of them. It was not worth it for these people to hold a grudge against him for such a small conflict. He could not rule out the possibility that these crazy racing enthusiasts would worship his godlike driving skills. Who knows, they might even follow his license plate number and come to him to learn from him. Should he start a racing god training class? The tuition fees could not be low, or else it would seem low class. It would at least cost 10,000 yuan a day, right? Just thinking about it made him feel good. So, charge. Don't slow down. I'll show you what it means to have godlike driving skills. Chapter 103. Chen Guang's car was getting closer and closer to little Zhong's group. He stepped heavily on the accelerator with his right foot, exerting more and more strength each time. The engine roared violently, bringing with it a strong sense of oppression. F***CK. What is this bastard trying to do? Little Zhong and the others were dumbfounded. They thought they were already very lawless people, but they had never seen such an unreasonable person. We have no enmity with you. Did you take the wrong medicine or something? Why are you coming straight for us? You're being a little unreasonable. By the time little Zhong and the others realized that something was wrong, it was already too late. It was too late for them to scatter and escape. Chen Guang looked at these people panicking like frightened little sheep. He felt quite sour in his heart. The last time he came here, he was like a pitiful little lamb, curled up in the driver's seat of the arena, watching a group of demons and ghosts dance outside. The huge parking lot was filled with the fireworks that these people had thrown on the ground, and the screams that sounded like they were in a horror movie came one after another. The blue Audi R8, on the other hand, was like a prehistoric beast that kept drifting around Chen Guang's car. The thick smoke from the burnt tires was everywhere. At that time, Master Chen Guang only had one thought in his heart. F***CK, a little scratch on the car of these bastards would cost tens of thousands of yuan. How could I stand it? Therefore, no matter how unhappy he was at that time, he could only obediently shrink in the car and wait for the bastards to circle around enough before quickly running away with the anti-fog lights on. He regarded this matter as a great humiliation in his life. Now that the river has turned, it's time for me to show off a little. So what if your car is good? As long as I'm skilled, I can even drive an Alto. They're about to collide. As Chen Guang sped up once more, his tattered car finally arrived before little Zhong and the rest. At this moment, those youths who boasted that they had experienced a grand scene in Phoenix Spring Mountain were completely blinded. Just as Chen Guang was less than 10 meters away from them, he finally slammed on the brakes and turned the steering wheel. At the same time, he shifted gears from fifth to first, and then slammed on the accelerator. Hence, under the dumbfounded gaze of little Zhong and the others, the arena made a sharp turn. Then, it went around them and drifted to the side, circling around the cars parked behind them. Then, he took the opportunity to stick to the back of the outermost car. In the end, Chen Guang's car was stuck in the gap between the outermost car and the cliff at the edge of the open-air parking lot, which was less than 4 meters long. Even the rear of his car and one of the rear wheels were flung out of the cliff. Then, Chen Guang smugly stepped on the gas pedal and drove the small broken car out of the parking lot. It was time to escape. Little Zhong and the other youngsters foolishly swung their heads around Chen Guang's car. They were shocked. They had seen drifting with their lives on the line, but they had never seen anyone who dared to do it like this. Brother, you're being too pretentious. You've already flung one of the rear wheels out. Just a little more, and the other rear wheel would have flown out too. That was a cliff that was more than 10 meters high. The scene looked thrilling, but in fact, racing god Chen Guang was rather calm, because the entire situation of the car was under his control. I'm not kidding. If I were driving a magically modified Alto, I would be able to fling out 2 rear wheels, let alone one. What? You're saying that my car is rear drive? Don't joke around. I've driven an Alto with only half a car to the end of the car. That's definitely a rear drive. Jiang Yage saw that Chen Guang had escaped, so she quickly followed him. As for little Zhong and the others, they recovered from their momentary daze. F***CK your grandpa. This son of AB** is just slapping our faces. Little Zhong was the first to jump up. The few of them were veterans in Wujing City's underground racing scene, yet they were provoked by a guy driving a broken arena car. How could they feel good about it? Someone else saw through it. Little Zhong, look at the distance between Erliu's M3 and the cliff in the parking lot. That son of AB*TCH's car is more than 4 meters long. He's drifting diagonally over it. And there's no contact at all in front. The front of the car is only 2 fingers away from the M3. F*CK, this skill is amazing. Little Zhong's eyelids twitched as he looked at the tire scratches on the ground, especially the black mark on the right rear wheel that had been flung out of the cliff. It was even more shocking. The word flashed across everyone's mind. Expert. Little Zhong reacted quickly. F*CK, whether he's an expert or a professional, we can't tolerate him coming to Phoenix Spring Mountain to trample on our faces. We have to at least see what he looks like. Otherwise, I'll have a mental block. Little Zhong was the first to rush back to his blue R8, slamming the accelerator and charging out. Further ahead, Chen Guang was not in a hurry to speed up. He saw Jiang Yage behind him and knew that it wouldn't be long before the vengeful blue R8 would find him. Before that, Chen Guang planned to find a suitable opportunity to tell Jiang Yage to give up. Sure enough, it didn't even take a minute for the Audi R8 to turn around and appear not far behind Chen Guang. Chen Guang's heart skipped a beat. He estimated that it was time and began to speed up again. What? Someone said that he didn't wait to keep pace with the others before speeding up. That's not fair. Stop joking, you're driving a sports car while I'm driving an A-class compact. That's the biggest F*King injustice. As Chen Guang really accelerated, Jiang Yage, who was behind him, was the first to be unable to bear it. Especially when Chen Guang drove through the first sharp corner, not only did he not slow down, but he also slammed the accelerator, desperately speeding up, which made Jiang Yage even more dumbfounded. What is he doing? This corner is so sharp. How can he drive like that? Does he want to die? When she really came to this corner, Jiang Yage was so nervous that she slammed on the brakes to control the car. She was so anxious that she screamed. She was not worried about herself, but worried about Chen Guang. On the other side, Little Zhong and the others followed closely. Although Jiang Yage's car looked a little unfamiliar, it was still a valuable Ferrari 488. Little Zhong and the others just thought that it was a child from a wealthy family in Wujing City who wanted to stroll around and see the world. If it was another time, Little Zhong and the others would definitely receive the newcomers well, but today's situation was special, so they just shouted when they passed by, which was considered a greeting. Before Jiang Yage could react, she was overtaken by Little Zhong and the other real racers one after another. She took the kind shouts of Little Zhong and the others as a provocation. These guys look down on me. She was so angry that she wanted to play with her life. Jean Shiyue stopped her in time. Yage, calm down. Chen Guang is going to race with others. If we join in, we will only cause trouble for him. With Jiang Yage's driving skills, it was already a big mistake to drive into the Fengquan Mountain racetrack. If she was allowed to race with Chen Guang like this, she was afraid that she would really overturn the car. This time it was really a headache. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.